Okay, so I won Saturday's challenge with Yawgmoth. The same list I've been using for a long time. It's very simple, it's very basic, nothing too fancy. The toolbox creatures, there's basically 4 toolbox creatures if you count the Dryad Arbor. Pretty simple, nothing fancy. The reason I moved to Endurance is because Blue-Red Murktide is a very prevalent deck, and so is Living End. And you can't really play Scavenging Ooze against Living End. It's like surprisingly bad. If you turn 2 a Scavenging Ooze with a Mana Dork, you get to eat one thing, and then they'll just Living End and wipe it. So, like, obviously your turn 2 on the play, it's significantly better. But if you're on the draw, Scavenging Ooze really isn't that good against Living End, whereas Endurance is kind of always good against Living End, and Endurance combos better with Yawgmoth. Scavenging Ooze is a good card to have in the main deck, but sometimes you draw it and you're unimpressed with it. And it's not always that great. I used to play Scavenging Ooze for a while, but when Murktide, like, the first turn you play Ooze against Murktide, they're just going to kill it. They're going to bolt it, or they're going to Unholy Heat it, or whatever they're going to do to it. So it's not really that good against Murktide. I mean, it's good late game against Murktide, but early game it's not as good as an Endurance, which just blanks the graveyard. So I think Endurance is just a better main deck card right now than Scavenging Ooze. The decks that you want to beat, Blue-Red Murktide and Living End, are not late game decks where Ooze shines. Obviously you want to bring them in. They're still good cards to bring in, but I think the Endurance as a main deckable flex slot is good. I think Grist is good. I think 4 Grist is where you want to be. I think this card is bananas. I think turn 2ing Grist on the play might be one of the best things you could do in the format. That might just be my bias, but I think it's really good against everything that's not a Delirium Dragon Rage Channeler. No, it's been good recently, but it wasn't that great. It hasn't been that great for a while. I had a big downturn where I was just winning Legacy and not winning Modern. Alright, so this is the list. I've been playing it forever. Like, I like Crime Punishment. It's very flexible. It deals with things preemptively. Like, if your opponent has, I get asked a lot about, like, what's the difference between engineered explosives and, like, why don't you play Necroplasm and stuff like that. And the answer is this card is very flexible. This card deals with Hammer. This card can deal with, like, creature-based decks. Like, I brought in against humans because, you know, it can hit a Vial. It can hit a bunch of 2-drops. It can hit... It has a lot of flexibility. It can also hit... The big thing with those cards is it's the best card at dealing with Saga because it kills all the zeros on the board and it's not tagged as non-land, so you can use it to kill Urza's Sagas before they pop, if you will. And if you have, like, Engineered Explosives, the Saga gets to pop. They get to get their Pithing Needle, which names YAWG, and then you have to use your Engineered Explosives on 1 to kill that, and then you're still sort of facing 2 giant Construct tokens. So Punishment is the best answer to Urza Saga that exists besides turn 0 Force of Vigoring it, you know. But that's kind of a lot, like, if you Force of Vigor with the trigger on the stack, that's obviously way better. But, like, this could be just as good because there could be a couple of Sagas, a Saga in play about to pop, you know, a bunch of tokens, and this just has flexibility and reach that it kills Rhinoceroses, it kills Urza Saga. It's a very flexible card. So because of that, I play 2 of them. Liberator is kind of self-explanatory. You need this effect. Endurance is the same thing. The best deck you want to beat is Living End and 4-color, or Living End and Murktide, which these just shine. So, and Thoughtseize is the best thing you could be doing against Control and 4-color. And Necromentia is for, you know, Amulet Titan, you name Titan. For Thran, you name Urza's Tower. You know, for Living End, you name Living End. You know, it's not that great against Rhinos. I'm on the fence. In this challenge, I get very lucky and I beat Rhinos, but I'm on the fence if this card is good against Rhinos. On the draw, it's especially kind of heinous because Rhinos is going to kill your turn 1 Dork. So Living End's not. So you can really rely on a turn 1 Dork surviving and then turn 2ing a Necromentia pretty easily. And then you just have to worry about Force Negation. But against Rhinos, like, you have to worry about Force Negation, and they're probably going to kill your Dork. So Necromentia might not be good against Rhinos. I'm not really sure yet if I want to keep boarding this in against Rhinos. I mean, Thoughtseize is good versus Rhinos, but I don't know if Necromentia is good on the draw. It might be good on the play, but I don't know yet. Rhinos is kind of a matchup that's just so bad for Yawgmoth that I've kind of just given up on it in terms of trying to, like, overly sideboard to beat it. There are a lot of lists around running Necroplasms and stuff that just kill Rhinos, but I don't know. I haven't tried it. Yeah. Also, a big problem with Necromentia is if you cast it on turn 2, they could still have suspended a Crashing Footfalls that you still have to deal with Rhinos. And the problem is the rest, I've Necromentia'd Rhinos and gotten rid of the Crashing Footfalls, and I've still died to Furies and Bone Crusher Giants, and you know, because the rest of their cards are so good at beating Yawgmoth, they're just very effective 2-for-1s. That, you know, they're very good at keeping your board clear. And the strength of this deck is basically casting Yawgmoth with a bunch of, let's call it, expendable friends on the board. And those the more expendable friends they have, the easier it is for Yawgmoth to take over a game. But Yawgmoth on his own is a giant spider, a 2/4, which is not very impressive. It's pretty impressive against humans on its own because it still blocks them because of the pro-humans thing. But on its own, it's pretty unimpressive, and that Rhinos is very good at isolating Yawgmoth, whether it's fire, whether it's fury, whether it's unsummon something. Yeah. Well, this deck versus Living End is kind of like, it's kind of a struggle because Living End, a lot of modern decks these days have a couple of draws that you just can't beat. No, I don't think I've tried. No. The issue with Living End is they have draws that you just won't be able to beat. When they're on the play, when Living End is on the play, and they're just like turn 1, cycle, turn 2, cycle, turn 3, grief you, Living End, kill your Wall of Roots, kill your Dork, you just can't win. So I think Endurance, I think the matchup's like 50-50. Endurance helps a lot in post-board games, but they have subtlety. So like they have just hands that could just wreck you, and there's nothing you could do about it. So it's kind of like 25% of games they're just going to win, and there's nothing you could do about it. That being said, I like Yawgmoth more, obviously. I feel like Living End is a pretty one-dimensional deck. It's pretty easy to beat it. You know, even though it has got a bunch of improvements lately with all the lands. I beat it twice in this league, actually. All right, let's start the replay. Let's go over round 1. Game 1, round 1. Pantheas. No idea what they're playing. So we kept a reasonable hand. Young Wolf, you know. Reasonable hand in the dark. So they went Boseiju, Crashing Footfalls, which is the scariest start for Yawgmoth because generally this is the hardest matchup. Rhinos is the hardest matchup that you can face. They just have so much to interact with you. So here, not much we could do. We could Wall of Roots. Now here, I can not attack and Chord for 3. 1, 2, 3. Which will give me a mana next turn, and will let me evolution this into Yawgmoth and give me more creatures to play with, which is what I think I end up doing. Nope, I just attack. Well, that was pretty dumb of me. I could have held up Chord here, but I guess I decided not to do it. I think I decided not to do it because all I need to do is Chord. Once I evolution for this Yawgmoth, all I need to do is just Chord for a Young Wolf, and I've won the game with everything I have in my hand. So we'll see. So like having an extra land here would be pretty good. So they go to ice me during my upkeep. But if I would have just gotten a Dryad Arbor here, they probably would have fired this and fired the Dryad Arbor. So maybe it ended up working. But here I get to Chord in response to this. Yeah. So now we can Chord. I guess I Chord for the Dryad Arbor here. So now on my turn, I still didn't use the Wall of Roots. So now I go land, 1, 2, 3, evolution, get a YAWG. So now we get YAWG. We have to just cross our fingers and hope they don't have Force Negation here. If they have Force Negation, it's a blowout. We got lucky. They didn't have it. We get the YAWG. We've made a land drop this turn, so there's no real reason to start fucking around with stuff, I don't think. So I just pass the turn, move over to them. They have 3 turns left on the rhinos. They're just going to pass. This is a scary spot because it says it can be... We know it's probably not Force Negation, or they would have Force Negation the Eldritch Evolution. So we know they probably are just making 8 power rhinos at instant speed. Or they can have a Brazen Borrower, which is equally as annoying. No, it's not equally as annoying. It's less annoying, but it is still annoying. Look at this call. I don't know if you guys can see this. Probably fraud. Nice. All right. So anyway, I got a new phone, and the new phone tells me that I'm being called by fraud. So now it's our turn. We've drawn our land. I think we start by... There's a lot of options here, right? Where we can attack, we can start doing stuff, but basically we have everything to win here. We just need to draw another Undying creature. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Yeah, I need to know about my extended warranty. So we have 5 mana. All we need to do is find another creature, another Undying creature. So we play the Blood Artist. Now we start messing around with the sacrificing. This is kind of a rough spot because this exposes the Blood Artist. Like if they had a removal spell, they could just kill the Blood Artist. But at the same time, if they kill the Blood Artist, then they're not making rhinos. Right? So I think this is okay for us. Like we don't need Blood Artist to win. It makes it a lot easier. But we don't need him to win. So they don't have anything. Now we shoot the Dryad Arbor into the Yawgmoth. Just looking for another Undying. Not the best. So I could sack this and try and draw more. But it's probably just better to play a Grist here. Let's see what I end up doing. No, I sack. Get one more draw, one more look. Any Undying in the game just ends. Wall of Roots. So here I can play the Wall of Roots and keep going. Keep sacking this, keep messing around, right? But I don't think I do. I think I play Grist instead. I felt like just getting a bunch of permanents on the board is better. You know, like we have a lot of things to mess around with. If we keep going and we fizzle and they make 8 power of rhinos, we're just going to be in a lot of trouble because we've sacrificed a lot of resources to try and do something and then we failed. So I just figured that it would be easier to just put the Grist in play and wait till next turn. We could have played the Wall of Roots there and keep going, but I was just like, all right, we've committed a bunch. The messenger's now in the graveyard. So now we need this Blood Artist to win, so let's not overcommit to anything. Let's just go nice and slow, play a Grist, plus Grist, let's see what happens. So they're gonna make rhinos. Like, we could have kept going with the combo here, but I don't think that was the right call. We'd used 2 mana, 3 mana. We could have kept going, but I think it was just safer and easier to play a Grist. Just plus Grist. Now we can like hit the wolf here, cycle the wolf, shrink some rhinos, right? So here they go, making rhinos. They tap a little incorrectly. Yep, rhinos. Rhinos. So now these rhinos come off suspend. So now they swing both at Grist, which is fine, because that means I stay at 20. Grist obviously just dies. Who cares? We don't care about Grist dying. So Grist gained us 8 life and made a 1/1. So now we could start messing around again. Start off with the wall of roots. Attack. Get the attack in, right? Oh, shit. So I just went too far. Okay. Shit. Why is it not stopping? Okay. Basically, they bounced the Yawgmoth. We replayed the YAWG. We still have this Blood Artist that's remained unkilled. They have a million rhinos, and now we just kill them. Sorry I skipped through all that, but I don't know what's going on. Why is Magic Online being so weird with this replay? Now it's like not. I put the Yawgmoth ability on the stack and they concede. That's not right. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened with that replay. Basically, what happened was we got YAWG in play, and then we killed them with YAWG. That was a weird replay. I'm sorry. I'll try to do this next one right. But basically, we had YAWG, and they didn't kill the Blood Artist, and we were just able to kill them. So here's an example. I'm on the play, right? I sideboard out the Endurance. I sideboard out 2 Grist, 1 Eldritch Evolution, 1 Chord of Calling, 1 Yawgmoth, and I bring in 2 Necromentias, 2 Thoughtseizes, 2 Crime Punishments, and we go from there. Alright, so they go first. They suspend Crashing Footfalls. Already making Necromentia look dumb. Right? Because Necromentia can't hit that one. So we play a Dork and pass over. So what do? They don't kill our thing, which is interesting. So, I mean, Necromentia looks good here. We cast it. We cast the Necromentia. They end up Force of Negationing it. But they pitched the Shardless Agent. So Necro did its job there, but this was unlikely. It was very unlikely that this bird lived. So it pitches the Shardless, so we basically Thoughtseize them. 3 mana Thoughtseize them, where we take their card. We get the agent out of their hand. Then they crack the fetch. Now this comes off. Now I'm like, oh no, we're going to get rhinoed. Now the panic sets in. But now we're still thinking that they can make rhinos at the end of turn. And now my board position is not great. Like, if I play this, I'm so dead to Fury. But, I mean, I don't have any other choices, really. If I play YAWG, they just Fury it. If I do all these and they Fury all 4, at least I have the Yawgmoth afterwards. So I just play all these. I don't like just having the Yawgmoth naked. I want the Yawgmoth to have friends. So here comes... I thought they'd make rhinos, but they cast the Endurance. We're really lucky that they pitched this Charlotte's Agent, because that would have been 10 power. 10 power attacking us here, we wouldn't really have anything much to do about it. So they play the Endurance. We got really lucky that they didn't have Rhinos. Now they attack. Just take the damage. So now we get to play Yawgmoth. So we play this so we can have an extra creature to sack. Right, we might as well get the attack in with the Young Wolf here, just to make sure we can get in that 1 point of damage, which I'm pretty sure. This is also a bit of a bait, right? Because it baits them to make more rhinos. So I can like start shrinking the rhinos, start shrinking this, and then proliferate everything down. Very rarely. Very, very rarely. Like 1 out of 200 games or something like that. Do I end up using the Endurance to shuffle my graveyard back to like put a Blood Artist back or something like that? Usually, as long as I don't miss the Blood Artist in the graveyard, I could just kill with Geralf the Messenger. Alright, so now we sack on this. And there comes another Endurance, which is annoying, but not the end of the world. Just get a Young Wolf. So we shoot both of these just so they don't really have any good attacks. Here come the rhinos. So here we just have the combo. If they have nothing, first we cast Crime. Then we cast Strangleroot Geist. We cast Eldritch Evolution. We get Geralf's Messenger. And if they don't have anything in their hand, they're just dead. But I choose not to go for it here. Because let's say we do go for it. We pay 1, blah, 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 blah. We'll drain them 2. We'll drain them 1. We do kill them. However, if they have a Bonecrusher Giant or a Fire Ice in their hand, they'll be able to kill us with their death trigger on the stack. So I'm pretty sure I don't go for it here. Just attack with the Strangleroot Geist. Get a nice juicy attack in. If they don't block here, then they go low enough where we won't have to worry about getting fired or getting stomped or whatever, but they don't do that, so we just pass the turn. So now we just go to hurt them. I just want to give them a little hurting. And I wasn't going to go all the way down. I just wanted to draw cards so I wouldn't get Enduranced. Because I can't kill them here because let's say they have a Fire Ice. Right? They Fire Ice us, but I was just going to draw a bunch of cards here. Wasn't going to go for the kill, but they conceded, so they didn't have the fire. Alright, so we got lucky. We beat Rhinos. They did not have a very good hand. But they also had to pitch Charlotte's Agent to save them to the Necro. So maybe Necro did something there. Round 2. What are we playing against? So this hand's okay. Not the greatest because we don't have any Undyers. But we can turn to a Grist, turn 3 a YAWG. They just play land, pass. We just go land, forest, dork. So this is living end, right? But this is like the worst. This is not a good matchup for us. They're also on the play. So things are not good for us. So they cycle. Now it's our turn. So We could play Wall of Roots. We could go Wall of Roots, Ignoble, attack. But I'm pretty sure that the best thing to do is play the Grist. Which is what I do, right? Because we can plus with the Grist and put creatures in the graveyard. The problem is, if we go Wall of Roots, Ignoble Hierarch, they just go Living End, ha ha ha. Kill your shit, get back a bunch of people, right? That's really bad for us. At least Grist, it doesn't do anything. Like, it's not guaranteed that we plus because we mill a card. It's not guaranteed that we put a creature in the graveyard, but it's pretty likely that we're going to put a creature in the graveyard. But let's see what happens. We mill a land. We whiff, but at least we have a Planeswalker in play that could do stuff. If we just, like I said, if we just play a Wall Roots, Ignoble, they just dunk on us and Living End and wipe all this shit. So we'll see what they end up deciding to do. So they just jam here. Which I don't know how I feel about. They didn't grief us. They didn't cycle. So they just have a 5/5 and a 4/4. I don't know if this is going to be enough. So this is not really that scary. So now we get to set up Wall of Roots, Wall of Roots, Wall of Roots, Ignoble plus. So now they don't really have any good attacks. And next turn we have YAWG. So they derp around a little bit. They kill Grist here, which was interesting. They spewed an Outburst to give this 5 power to kill the Grist, but Grist doesn't matter at this point. We have the board set up to cast YAWG. So we do that. We cast YAWG. Then we cast Bird's Paradise. Now, there's not really much reason to do anything at this point. Right? Like, they can't really do much. If they were to Living End again, we'd sack our whole board so we'd get everything back. But we just want to block here, shoot stuff. Now that we have Yawgmoth in play and their board isn't too crazy, we can kind of just slowly dominate them. Right? We could slowly take over the game. We could slowly take control. Which is what we end up doing here. So they attack. This thing has hexproof, so we can't really mess with it, but we can start shooting. And we float a mana here in case when we minus here, we draw a Chord of Calling. We don't end up drawing a Chord of Calling. It's very sad. But we don't draw it. They play a land, they pass. Now, it's our turn. We have Geralf's Messenger. You play the Geralf's Messenger. They cycle the Sky Turtle. Oh, they return YAWG to our hand, which is very annoying. But not really the end of the world. Because we have the other evolution. So now we sack this to evolution, but they have Force Negation. So they're still putting up a fight. We take all the damage. They don't attack with this because they're at 10, and this is swinging for 5. So they don't swing with this. They swing for 4, which we take. They could have maybe attacked with this. I don't know. But they don't. So now we play the Yawgmoth. Good morning. Good afternoon as well. So now we could swing this into this. But that's not really... We want to keep this around to fuck with and like reset and do all kinds of stuff with. We want to block here and then reset and proliferate and do all this stuff. Huh. That's the goal, right? Every week we want to do a recap. So now they swing. So now we just block here, shoot this, or block with this, shoot this. Yeah, block there, shoot this. Oh, I just shot this 1/1. That was weird. I guess I wanted to proliferate everything down. I did not do that one very smart. I don't know what the hell that was. Not very clean play right there. Should have shrunk this thing. They're griefing us. Alright. So now we attack for 6. They left themselves just dead, and we kill them. We attack for 6, sack trigger. We draw Blood Artist, and then they die. That went a little fast, I'm sorry. But they attacked themselves so low, we got to just attack for 6 and put them to 4, and then kill them with Geralf's Messenger blinking. I don't know what they were thinking. I thought they might have another board wipe, living end type effect, but they didn't, and we just killed them. So that's game 1. They living end too early. They didn't really have enough pressure to kill us. So round 2, we sideboard in. We sided out a Strangleroot Geist, a Yawgmoth, a Wall of Roots, 2 Evolutions, 2 Chord of Callings. The idea is we don't really need to combo here. We don't need to combo. We just need to survive. As long as we survive, that's more important than comboing. So we sideboard out 2 Force of Vigors, 2 Eldritch Evolutions, 2 Grist, 2 Chord of Callings, we brought in 2 Thoughtseizes, 2 Necromentias, 3 Endurances, 1 Scavenging Ooze, and 1 Outland Liberator because I'm afraid of Leyline of Sanctity. So let's see this keep. This keep's okay. I'm pretty sure we open on a Thoughtseize. Nope. We drew the Dork, so we're probably going to play the Dork first. Yeah. We would have gone Thoughtseize into Wall of Roots Yawgmoth, but we drew the Dork, so Dork's obvious the best play on turn 1. So now they cycle. We have the Endurance. They're cycling again. They put this into play tapped, and now it's our turn. So we drew the Necro. We could get the Necro. We could play the Necro. I think I just play the Necro. Necro. We get their living ends. Their hand is pretty garbage at this point. Yeah, I did win the challenge 2 weeks in a row. So then we get rid of all the living ends. And their hand's kind of garbage. They have a Subtlety, which is the only card that could actually kill us. Brain's Bar was annoying, but we don't really care about it. So we take out their living ends. So now this game is pretty easy at this point. We just have to not die to the Subtlety. We drew Yawgmoth. This is perfect. Now we Thoughtseize away the Subtlety. So they can't play the YAWG. And now they played this. Now the Subtlety's gone. They drew an Endurance. Now we just play the YAWG. Attack with the Yawgmoth. And get the damage in. And we have the endurance to do a bunch of shenanigans with. But we don't do anything. Because we know they have an endurance, so we don't need to do much. We could just chill, basically. So they attacked. We used our Young Wolf to shoot the thing, then they played their endurance. No big deal. Now it's our turn. We draw Strangleroot Geist. Now we're just looking for a black mana. Get the Geralfs in play. Or we have double endurance. There's black mana. Now we can get Geralfs in play. So this isn't... Do I have a sideboard guide? I wrote one a long time ago for Modern Solutions, but you know, it's pretty easy to sideboard with this. Just, you know, don't be afraid to side out Undying creatures. Don't be afraid to give up on the combo aspect of the deck to be this like mid-rangey beatdown. So we just attack for 4. They don't block. Now we can go back and forth here and kill them. But if they have an endurance, it's just not worth it. Like, what are they going to do? They can't Living End. They can't do anything. So there's no reason to really try. You know, like, we could commit to this, but we just get wrecked by a Living End. So what's the point? Just hold up the threat of doing it. Then they play a Sphinx, and that's, you know. Now we go to our turn, and rather than fuck around with do they have an endurance or not, I'm pretty sure we just necro them. And I name endurance. Then as soon as the necro resolves and I know they don't have endurance, they just have garbage, I just kill them instantly. Right? Like, there's no reason not to play around in endurance there. 4 color, I bring in 2 against Murktide. As many as I can against 4 color, Tron, Amulet, all those bullshit decks. Alright, so we beat this deck. Necromentia really shined here. And we're 2-0 in the tournament. A good start. And round 3, we are playing against Bend V. I don't have any idea what they're playing. We just keep a reasonable hand. A little slow to get to YAWG, but we can get to YAWG eventually with the Chord of Calling. So let's see what they're at. So they go Flooded Strand. So this is hammer time. So this is a very easy matchup, generally speaking, especially when we're on the play, especially drawing this, because this leads to my favorite start, which is Wall of Roots, Strangleroot Geist attack. This is my favorite turn 2. It's just a lot of damage. It's just the best board setup. It's super easy to chord from YAWG at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they play this. We play Dryad Arbor. We just destroy them. Getting a Yawgmoth against this deck is all you really want to do. We play this land because it's free, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We get a Chord with YAWG. They draw a card. Oh no. We get the Yawgmoth. It's paywalled under Modern Solutions. I wrote it a long time ago, but it's pretty much the same list. But basically, if you watch my stream or ask me, I'll just tell you how to sideboard. It's pretty easy. So now we just take them apart, right? They can't really win this game. We have 4. We have a bunch of activations. They play another 1/1, just not the way. So this game's over. We just wreck all their creatures. Get this, kill them, right? We wreck their board. We evolution for another Geralf's Messenger. We kill them. On turn 3. Turn 4. This is the perfect hand against this deck. You just kind of dumpster them. Yawgmoth, if Yawgmoth gets on the board before they're able to put a hammer on something, Yawgmoth just cleans up. So, we won game 1. I imagine we lose this game. I don't really remember. But we do lose this game. So, this hand's a little slow. It's turn 4 Yawgmoth at the quickest. Let's see what they do. They don't do anything. This is a good draw. Speeds up our clock. So, what do they do? They play the Saga. Against them, let's see the sideboarding. I forgot to do this. We board in 2 Force of Negations. We take out an Endurance. We take out the Grist. We take out the Chord of Callings. We take out the Strangleroot Geist. Because, again, we're not trying to combo and win. We're just trying to get a Yawgmoth in play and control their board. And we have Crime Punishments in. We have Force of Vigor's in. We have Outland Liberator in. And we've cut the Endurance from the main. We've cut these cards. Because, again, all we're trying to do, we're not trying to win. We don't need to win the game with Chord of Calling, which is courting for a Blood Artist. We just need to get a Yawgmoth in play and control their board. So they've done that. They march to the really light our Yawgmoth. So now let's go to this is our turn 3. So we're going to just play Yawgmoth. So now we're in a tough spot, right? They have a lot going on here. It's too slow on the draw, right? Like, it's very slow. Evolution is just way better. Like, you can die to hammer on turn 1, turn 2. Turn 2, hammer can kill you. So, like, courting is not, like, the games you win, if you can get to the spot where you can court to 7 mana, you're probably still alive already. Obviously, you just want to evolution for a YAWG, and then that's that. Evolution is a lot faster than Chord. So now they have Sigarda's Aid. So now we're in a little bit of trouble. They have no hand, but they have both of these sagas. So I don't really remember what I decide to do here. I guess we play Grist. So, I remember what happens this game. I punt this game away. I punt this game away because I block with my Yawgmoth. I remember now. So now we're in a perfect position where everything's all set up. They have no hand, but they're going to get some hammer shit happening here. So we have to, like, shrink this. We have to kill it's a complicated thing, but we end up doing it. So they make the 3/3. Now we have some problems here, right? Like, there's a lot of problems here. We have to deal. When you kind of wait to see what they decide to do, they make a person, right? They're making a star. The problem is, after this goes off, they could be getting Pithing Needle. So it's really like a weird, bad spot. Because if they get Pithing Needle, we're shut down and we lose the game. So I don't really remember what I decided to do. But alternatively, why would they get Pithing Needle when they could just get a giant hammer? So they get Shadow Sphere. I don't think you need Void Mirror. I don't think Thran is good enough. I don't think you need Baloth. I don't think you need any of those cards. I think they're all kind of... I haven't played them in forever. I don't think you need them. I think Necromentia is better than Magus. I think Void Mirror is just, not good. I don't think Thran is very good. Thran just gets laughed at by Omnath. And Baloth is only good against Burn, really. I don't think you really need help for Burn, because there are better cards you could play against Burn. Alright, so they end up putting the Shadow Sphere on the Construct. which isn't that big of a deal because it's not. This isn't. It's not a pithing needle, right? So it's not a pithing needle, which would shut down YAWG. So they're going to attack here. They're thinking about it. And this is where I fuck up, I'm pretty sure. Right? I shrink this thing. This is my fuck up. This is what cost me this game. This was the punt. This was everything that I did wrong. Right? I shrunk this thing. I put a counter here, put a counter here, so I could proliferate, kill this, shrink this, make it a 3, and then I could block it with YAWG, but I forgot about the Yawgmoth Nexus. So I get blown out, and I punt the game away. I get a swamp here, proliferate. So I shrink this to a 3, and I'm like, oh, well, it's a 3 power. I can block with my Yawgmoth. But I forgot about the Yawgmoth Nexus. I totally punt here. It totally cost me this game. The game ends on the spot here when I block here. And I block. They just activate the Yawgmoth, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Literally, the game is ended. It's just totally, I made a punt there, and I lost. Just because of that. Now it doesn't matter what I do. What's up, BG? But I lost this game. I punted this game. I chord for this, so I could block this. That I make a... I mean, the game's over. I have no... They're going to just get a giant hammer. Yeah. They have a million things. They have a million millions. I had to chord for that to block the hammer, and then I'm just dead. So I threw this game away. I deserve to lose it. I just missed the activation of the Yawgmoth Nexus. I should have just let the Grist take damage. But I punted this game away. Just straight up missed something on board, which is egregious. And it cost me the game, and I died instantly. Instant death the second that happened. So we lost. But game 3, we could still win game 3. So your punt doesn't matter. Just, shake it off and then start game 3 again. The Pig's Been Flooped. Thank you for the resubscription. For 6 months of support. Thank you very much. So, this hand's good. We have the Crime Punishment. We have the Wild Roots. We have Evolutions. We have Chords. We have everything to get YAWG. They go Sigarda's Aid. Now, I have a choice here, right? We can just crime that. Like, the choice is, do we want to lose to double hammer? Right? If they just attack us and have double hammer, the game ends. I don't want to lose. So, they're on a mulligan to 4. I take the gamble to just punish this away. Right? Because I don't want to randomly lose to double hammer. Because my hand's so good, what's the point in randomly just getting shredded by double hammer? So we just take the line to kill that, and then they play a Pure Steel. So now we Evolution for YAWG. Shoot this thing. We floated a black here. I wish I would have known that I was going to draw a Strangleroot Geist. But I didn't, so we're just going to proliferate this and kill it. Just kill that thing, right? No point in letting them fuck around with a Pure Steel. Nothing good comes of that. They play another Pure Steel. They have a land here. They have a mana floating, so they can hammer this. So this is kind of an awkward spot. But we stack that on that. They have Blacksmith skill, which is annoying, but at least it's not a fucking hammer, right? At least it's not a hammer. So nothing we could do, so we just pass. So they went to exile. They went to march. The Strangleroot Geist, we minus this on this. So this is a human, and this is pro-human. So even if they have a hammer, they can't really hit us. So at this point, we've won the game. Just kind of just kill their stuff slowly. Here comes a Saga. They float 2 white here and then do nothing, which I thought was really weird. So now we have the Force of Vigor. So now the game's really over. So we play the Grist, plus the Grist. Then we upkeep stop before this thing has a chance to mature. And we Force of Vigor both of them. They draw land, we draw this. We can play this plus the Chord. We can Chord here. I'm not doing it. We can Chord for 6. We can Chord for Geralf's Messenger. We can Chord for anything we want to. But, I mean, we don't have... There's no reason to. We're just saving it. They just play land. They've not drawn very well, so now we just Chord for Geralf's Messenger. GG's. Now we could just kill them. Alright, so we did win round 3. They mulliganed a little bit. I punted this game away. I punted game 2 away so hard. If we would have been able to untap with a Yawgmoth, we would have been able to eventually proliferate their board down under control. But I decided not to do that, and I decided that I wanted to throw the game away. So, I blocked with my Yawgmoth, the most important piece. I just put my queen in the front row to fuck with a pawn. And the pawn was just like, alright, I'll kill you. Dummy. Why would you do this? This is your queen. This is your most valuable piece. So, you know, I just died instantly. The second I threw away my queen, it's just like in chess. I threw away my queen and I got killed. Ijax. What are they up to? So this hand's kind of sketchy. They're blue-red here. So, obviously, we see the monkey. So, we could play a Bird's Paradise, but obviously, Young Wolf stops the monkey. So, what do? They Brazen Borrower the Young Wolf and attack with the Ragavan. A very bold play. So now we play the Wall of Roots, and we make another monkey. So they don't attack. Now we have to start thinking about counterspell here. Plus they're going to play the Brazen Borrower. So I think we just dump out creatures from our hand, including the birds. At this point, you might as well attack with the Young Wolf, right? So they play the Brazen Borrower. Now, we could have held up Chord and then Chord in response to the Brazen Borrower. But the problem is the card that we would Chord for would be Blood Artist, and they could just bolt it and kill it. Yeah. Ragavan, there's a lot of copies of Ragavan out there. So they bolt our bird, and then they attack us for 4. They play a Blood Moon, but we have a board full of dorks, so the fact that they tapped out was great for us here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So we could play the Blood Artist and then Chord for Yawgmoth and win the game. Blood Artist. Chord for the Yawgfather. They could have had Spell Pierce there, but they only have 2 cards, so what are you going to do? They have Spell Pierce there, they got me. So we won this game real quick. Blood Moon, not the best. I mean, Blood Moon's a good card, but not when your opponent has 3 dorks in play. Alright. That was round 4. That was game 1. Let's go to game 2. Let's see. They go land, go. So I'm pretty sure here, if I play a Bird's Paradise, it's going to get roasted, right? So I'm pretty sure I lead on Young Wolf. because we can't really accelerate much into the turn 2. I played against it the next day. I lost to it on Sunday. So we don't want to play the birds and just have it bolted. Next turn we can go get a swamp, Thoughtseize, then play birds. Which is what we end up doing. What do? They just do nothing. So we go crack for a swamp. Actual Thoughtseize you. And they counterspell. Which is fine, because now we play the birds, whatever. Attack. Now, we're kind of underneath them. We're kind of out underneath them. Now they just do nothing. So this is kind of the game you want to play against them, where, like, you're playing at flash speed. So, like, we can't even cast a YAWG, but just casting an Endurance here. We just attack with the Yawgmoth. We now want to make them play at flash speed. They fire both of these. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to do sideboarding. I sideboarded in one Thoughtseize. Side out Ignoble Hierarch. And I sided out all the Endurances, Evolutions. And I boarded in all the Endurances and Scavenging Ooze. And I boarded out one Ignoble, one Thoughtseize, and these. So they kill this, which is really annoying, but I can still cast the Endurance. So I let this resolve. Oops, shit, I'm clicking the wrong spot. I let this resolve, and then I Endurance them. I played the Dryad Arbor, they bolted. So they did have the bolt for the turn 1 birds if we played it. But now we have 5 power in play, and they're fucking around with Eldritch Evolutions. So now we just try and jam threats. They resolve, they attack, they Brazen Bar our Endurance, no big deal. So what do? They just play land pass. So they have Brazen Bar active. Who knows what else they have? They could have Subtlety. So we just attack for 4 here. They're only at 9, so we're just like underneath their bullshit. And then if they play the Brazen Bar, we'll just play the Endurance. So they play the... Oh, they Archmage Charm our Yawgmoth, but then we get to resolve the other Endurance and keep their graveyard clear. So this is annoying, obviously. But at this point, I don't want to play the Yawgmoth into a counterspell. So play the Blood Artist. So, like, if they attack, it's pretty awkward for them, right? Like, if they block here, they die, right? They'll take 3, 1, 2. They don't obviously have to. They can block here. They'll take 2 plus the 1. They'll take 3. They'll go to 2, which is still fine. Which means this should be something that they would want to counterspell if they had one, which they have. They dress down here, which is annoying, but they're still at 2 life, right? They're still at 2, and they concede. So we got out underneath them. We got underneath the shields, so to speak, and we were able to play at flash speed with the Endurance, and then we just beat them down, right? We just gave them the regular old beatdown. Game 1 of round 5 against... I ended up losing this match. This is against 4-color control, but not Urion whatever base. Just 4-color Snapcaster control. That's an interesting list. I'm probably going to play it sometime this week. They won the die roll. We kept a medium hand. We had no idea what they were playing at the time. Why all my creatures? So Dress Down removes the Undying ability. So Dress Down removed the Strangleroot Geist Undying. So it just dies. It's just a regular creature and just dies. So they blocked the Yawgmoth on the Strangleroot Geist, played the Dress Down, and then they just traded. And that was that. But they didn't have any way to deal with the Endurance and just conceded afterwards. So here we go. Let's see. Obviously, you can never play Dryad Arbor. It's the worst card to draw ever. It sucks. I hate it in the deck. But sometimes it's amazing. It's a necessary evil. So we just pass the turn. They get to Triumph. Now, as soon as they play this, like, alright, they're playing control. So we fetch our land at the end of their turn, untap. Now, this is kind of a tough spot because on one hand, you want to progress your board, but on the other hand, you want to just start hurting them because they're control. So I went with Wall of Roots, which they didn't anything about. They cast Frantic Inventory, which is basically accumulated knowledge. But it's a fixed accumulated knowledge, where accumulated knowledge counted all graveyards. This just counts your graveyard. Accumulated knowledge wars were pretty crazy back in the day. So now they're control. They played 4 lands. 3 lands. So this is kind of a good spot because we can get the Strangleroot Geist out. So we just play Strangleroot Geist. Then we play land, Strangleroot Geist. They counter the second one. They heat that one. So this is different from regular control. Unholy Heat is like not common, but it ends up being pretty busted in this matchup. It's really good again with Snapcaster Mage is what they end up playing. So play Teferi, they bounce the wall, which basically means we have to kill this, obviously. So here I should have known better. This was like a punt of me, right? Because it's very, I don't know. Like, why bounce the wall there? Just trying to draw a card. Doesn't make much sense. I guess they're just trying to draw a card. But in theory, I should have realized they're trying to set me up for a verdict. So I Eldritch Evolution for a Grist, being afraid of that verdict. So I'm like, oh, they're trying to set me up for a verdict. So I just be like, all right, I'm going to get a Grist in play. Well, you have nothing. So they play a land. Just pass the turn. We just attack with the insect. Plus the Grist. Make the wall roots. See, this was bad. This is bad. I just overextended into verdict here. They deluge, untap, blow me out with a verdict. Just, they verdicted and then they unholy heated my Grist. Just absolutely brutal. I'm just in the Stone Age. I don't know what I could have done different there, but that was not the play. That was just not the play. I'm pretty sure I should have just evolutioned for Yawgmoth there, but I was scared to evolution into open mana, and I ended up getting blown out. This game goes on for a while, but I literally just lost from that spot. I'm going to play it at warp speed because it's just pitiful from this point. Now we get this. We get to evolution for the YAWG. They counter it. Or they frantic inventory to then counter it. And we're just going to let the game play out because at this point I've lost. They have 4 cards in hand. We can't even play YAWG. We can't play Geralf's Messenger. This would be, and now they're getting Memory Deluge back. This is an example of why the deck, I don't think, could support a 3rd color. So we have 2 colors and we're just screwed on colors. So they bounce that. We get a Grist here, which is very exciting. Grist gets countered. Snap counterspell. I concede. So we got demolished that game. We got rope-a-doped with the verdict into the Unholy Heat, killing Grist. Verdict gave him Delirium. Unholy Heat wrecked Grist. I really like this build. I like the Unholy Heats. I like them a lot. I think that card's really, really, really good. I don't know how I feel about the Frantic Inventories, but I do like the Unholy Heats. So we lost game 1. Game 2 is a lot different. So we keep a hand that's a little sketchy, right? But we have a high potential for a turn 2 Grist, or we at least have a Strangleroot Geist. This is a very greedy keep, but it pays off. We just start Strangleroot Geisting them. The big thing with Strangleroot Geist is if you can get them out early, they just kind of wreck the opponent. So they play this land. Now we're just in turbo Strangleroot Geisting. It's literally all we do this whole game. Strangleroot Geist you. They cast Hallowed Moonlight, which would be a blowout if we had anything. We're trying to. I know there's some people like this, and some people probably think it's boring. But I like going over it because it kind of reminds me of what's going on. And like I could look back and be like, oh, that was dumb, or why did I do that? Or I should have done this here. So it kind of gives me a chance. So this is just the mono idiots attack you draw. So they get to 3 lands. They play a Teferi. They unsummon the Birds of Paradise. So now we Thoughtseize them. This is their hand. They have Archmage Charm, Solid Dude, Unholy Heat. I'm pretty sure I don't care about the Archmage Charm. The Solid Dude's annoying. So the Solid Dude can fuck with my Undying thing, so I take the Solid Dude, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I take the Solid Dude, and now we just hit them. Hit that, hit them. That's what I meant to say. And now we're just all in on this aggro plan. So we just smash them. Aspiring Spike. Well, thank you. Welcome, everyone, from Aspiring Spike Stream. We are going over the challenge. Thank you. The best modern player? No. Oh boy. How do I get really lucky? Well, that's the whole point of this video. I don't know if I'm the best player. I get very lucky. I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. I'm not the best modern player. That's not true. I got lucky 2 weekends in a row. Look at this hand. I kept a 1-lander, and I somehow managed to beat some control deck. It's all about luck. How can one man get so lucky? No. Just luck. So, I've lost a lot of challenges. There's a lot of challenges between the ones that I win. A lot of challenges where I just get destroyed. We're attacking them. We're on the straight beatdown plan. There's not much. I mean, we finally play our Birds of Paradise on turn 5. They steal our Birds of Paradise. They're trying to completely just wreck us on mana. And we're just literally just attacking with 2/1s. So they're so far ahead of us here. I don't know how we end up winning this game. See, this is the thing, right? J-Dog Dabbins, thank you for 3 months. Dabbin for 3 months. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. So somehow I end up winning this game, but it doesn't look very good right now. Well, I don't really know how the hell I won it. So they have 4 cards. We don't really know any of them. We know they have the Chancellery, right? So I finally draw my second land on turn 7. Just in time, we draw the 3rd land. So, play the land. Obviously, our only play is the Strangleroot Geist. We play the Strangleroot Geist, which lives, but they have Iganjo, Seed of the Empire. So, our guy doesn't really live. He kind of lives. So, we still know one of the cards in their hand is the Chancellery. And now we have 3 lands on turn 8. We finally got to 3 lands, so we can finally, start playing the game. I want to thank everyone for the follows. I want to thank everyone from Spike Stream for hanging out. I appreciate the raid, Spike. I'm just a lucky Modern player. That's it. So, yeah, I don't know how the Control player lost, right? I don't know. So, we're sitting here. We know they have the 1 card in their hand, but now we start trying to resolve some spells. Try resolving a Grist. Grist ends up resolving, so we just plus. I don't want to attack here because I don't want to attack into the Hall of Storm Giants because they just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hall blocks this, and then this thing just dies. I was thinking about sending this thing in and then having them activate the Hall so then I could resolve the Grist. But they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they would have activated this, and then they could have gone 1, 2, crack this counterspell. So there's no point in suiciding the homeboy here. So we just pass the turn. But now we have active Grist, and active Grist is really good against control. And then they just kill it with Unholy Heat. So it wasn't that active for that long. Unholy Heat in this deck was really, really, really good. It's what allowed them to crush me. I mean, they just had the cleanest answer to Grist. I really liked it in this list. I was very impressed with the Unholy Heat. I was very impressed with their list, Verdant. They got pretty far in the tournament as well. And like I said, I don't know about the take inventories that they're playing, but the Unholy Heat really impressed. I mean, maybe because it just wrecked Grist all the time. But we still had a 1-1. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. So they just... Alright, so now it's our next turn. Dr. Bodgapopoulos. Dr. Bodgapopoulos. Bodgapopoulos. Thank you for the subscription. Alright, nice name. Okay, so now it's our turn. They still have the active Hall, so we can't really swing both. We start with this. I think we have Chord now, so I can start chording for like... I could chord at the end of their turn and then like untap and then like chord during my turn, I think. That's what I end up deciding to do. Bodgapopoulos. Bodgapopoulos. Thank you. Dr. Bodgapopoulos. What? That can't be right. There's no way I won 7 Modern Challenges. No, that's not true. That's not true. So they finally play the Chancellery. So we know they're kind of running out of cards if they finally play that. So they just play it and pass. We chord for a Wall of Roots here, which allows us to then chord for Yawgmoth. So we cast the Grist, plus the Grist. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have YAWG, so if they tap out to do something, we can YAWG in response. They cast Veil, which, you know, who cares? They get to draw a card. It is interesting to note that they do have Veil of Summer. This is the first time we saw Veil of Summer. And Veil of Summer ends up blowing us out in game 3. So here they take Frantic Inventory. So with this card on the stack, I decided to go for it. I know that one of the cards in their hand is a land, so we only have one card that's unknown. They bounce one card from this thing, so I kind of just go for it here. We get the Dryad Arbor, or we get the lands. I wonder why I didn't get Dryad Arbor there. I guess I probably figured if they counter this and then verdict me, I would be very sad if I had Dryad Arbor. Alright, now we get YAWG. And then we just... That's fine. Now we have YAWG. Everything's wonderful. And I'm pretty sure that they go to Snapcaster Mage, target Unholy Heat, and then I'm like, alright, well, I want to find... I believe that I had Endurances in the deck. I know I had Endurances, actually. Because that's how I side... I didn't go over how I sideboard. I'm getting really bad at that. I sided out 2 birds. I have 3 total Endurances in the deck. I sided out every Eldritch Evolution and a Wall of Roots and a Yawgmoth. And I brought in 4 Thoughtseizes, 1 Necromentia, and the Scavenging Ooze. I brought in the Scavenging Ooze because I saw the Snapcaster Mage and stuff in game 1. So I do have the Endurances in the deck. I have 3 Endurances in the deck. So I say to myself, alright, well, I don't want my Yawgmoth to die. So let's start bouncing around with some cards to try and find an Endurance. Because we want to sack and draw cards anyway. So there's the Chord, which is good. Which will also allow me to get another Yawgmoth if I can't get one here. Ignoble, we'll shoot another creature. We'll kill the birds. There's the Endurance. So now we could just Endurance away. Now we can Endurance away the Unholy Heat. Yawgmoth lives. And then we'll get to untap and just kill them. We could proliferate this Grist up. We could do whatever. So we ended up winning the game. They just ran out of counterspells. They just didn't have counterspells at a certain point. But it is worth noting they had a Veil of Summer, which does get me in game 2. So this list is like a regular control list, only instead of like Fire Ices, they're playing actual Unholy Heat, which killed my Grist and was pretty impressive all game. So... alright, now we go to game number 3, where I lose. I lose this matchup. Let's see if I sideboard anything different. No, same thing. 2 Birds of Paradise out because you don't really want to draw too many birds in a long, grindy control game. Plus they have Unholy Heats. I also sideboarded out Yawgmoth. It's kind of a low-impact card. Same with Wall of Roots. It doesn't really threaten them. They don't really care about it. It's just kind of a dead card. It helps me accelerate, but if we accelerate into 7 mana and they just spend 2 mana to counter it, are we really accelerating? So this is how I sideboard. I side 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. And I sided out every Eldritch Evolution that I could. And I brought in 4 Thoughtseizes. I have 4 Endurances in at this point. I brought in the extra Endurance because I kept getting wrecked by Unholy Heat. Plus Endurance lets you play at flash speed. So I have 4 Endurances in, Scavenging Ooze, and 4 Thoughtseizes in right now. I side out the second Necromentia. Yeah, I went plus an Endurance, minus a Necro, because it seemed like usually the card I bring in Necromentia in against control is I bring it in against Supreme Verdict. I really, really hate Supreme Verdict out of control, obviously, but... so I tend to bring Necro in for Supreme Verdict, but it didn't really seem like they had that many Supreme Verdicts. So I decided to take it out and swap it for an Endurance. So, that being said, let's see how it plays out. I did lose this game. Spoilers, I lost this game. Alright, so obviously this hand is unkeepable. No actual mana source. So we mulligan to this hand. This hand is keepable. It really is slow. There's no mana acceleration. I mean, that's to be expected. I did side out 2 Dorks, but Thoughtseize is still good, so we'll keep. They go land. We go Dork. Now, I could have shocked myself there, but I don't really like shocking myself in general. Here's where I get blown out, is just, they have green here, so they just have a Veil of Summer, and it's just the worst feeling in the world. So I attack for 1, then I crack, and they Veil me. Tilt. So that Veil probably ended up winning them the game. Now they have all the colors of the rainbow. Yeah, Veil of Summer's always a bummer. So now we have a choice. We can try and play at flash speed. We could play a Grist. We could just pass the turn. We could play this attack for 2. Yeah, it's definitely, Veil of Summer is really good. So I'm pretty sure I just pass here. I might try and play the Grist. I just pass. I go for trying to resolve the Endurance. I figured maybe they'd cycle a take inventory at the end of turn and I could resolve this. They just played the land passed. I cast the Endurance at the end of their turn. It resolved. So we go to our turn. And just swing first. And they take the damage. They go to 11. So I wouldn't think that this was a game that I was going to lose, but I ended up losing this game. Pretty sure I go for Grist here. It gets countered. No, Grist resolves too? Jeez, how the hell did I lose this game? I played the land. I feel good about this spot. They deluge, right? Which is annoying. Then they... what do they do? Oh, it's Solitude time. So now they have solid dudes. That's what happens. So I drew the Thoughtseize here. I think that I attack, if I recall correctly. I think I attack first to try and bait out the Solitude. So let's see what happens. Pretty sure I attack first. Before I do anything, I don't attack with a Young Wolf. Because I don't want, like, the Young Wolf, like, Solitude this, block this. I don't want that. So we just swing with the Endurance. We put him to 7. Alright, so now we start off with the Thoughtseize. This might have been a mistake, but I don't think we're going to resolve a Yawgmoth into 7 open mana. That does not seem like something that's going to happen. Obviously, I wish we had another land and we could have gone Thoughtseize, land, Yawgmoth. Yeah. So they play the solid dude. They roast the Young Wolf. So this is their hand. This is where I think I fucked up. So this is their hand. This hand is stacked, right? This hand is very, very good. There's a Supreme Verdict, an Unholy Heat, 2 counterspells. I take my tank on this. I'm not really sure what the take is. Like, they have 3 counterspells with Snapcaster Mage. Unholy Heat answers Grist. Like, yeah. I should have taken the Snapcaster, but I think I end up taking the Verdict. I took the Verdict, but now we know their hand. Their hand is very good. So we could kill this. If we sack a creature and kill the Solitude, they just Unholy Heat the Grist. So I'm pretty sure I just play this, pass the turn. So if we Unholy Heat, or if we sack a creature to kill this, they just get to go Unholy Heat this, and it's dead, and that's that. So I didn't want to do that. So now the problem is, how do we beat this hand? I didn't have a good double block here, but if I do double block here, it baits out the Unholy Heat if they want to use it. So I did double block here just to have them spew this, because I don't want them to have this to kill this or this. So they just trade here, which in hindsight, this was stupid of me to trade, right? Because then it just turns on the Unholy Heat. And the Unholy Heat answers the... So this is a punt, right? I'm just so not used to playing against Unholy Heat in this list. And it just shreds me the entire match, right? Because now this thing dies, and then they have Delirium for the Unholy Heat to just kill the Grist. So this was a terrible, terrible play. I needed to just block with 1 to just chump it. But I was thinking, oh, they're at such a low life total. If I kill this, I could just find a way to aggro them out. But that's not the way. This was a mistake. This was a punt. This cost me the match. This cost me everything, double blocking here. Well, not just Snapcaster, but just the Unholy Heat. I knew they had the Unholy Heat. And if I would have taken Snapcaster, well, I knew they had the Unholy Heat, and I just set them up. This was a punt. Punt, 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 punt. Cost me the match, cost me this round of the tournament. Not very smart. Yeah. So then that dies, so now they just have Unholy Heat on my Grist. Just terrible foresight. Killing the Solitude does not turn on the heat? What do you mean? I should have just played... I should have just chump blocked the Solitude. That's what I should have done. But I didn't want them to keep gaining life, so I'm like, alright, I'll just get rid of that. But that punt cost me everything. That cost me this round. So now it's the rest of their turn. They're just play a land, pass. So now we know their hand is... They didn't even play this island, too. So we literally know their whole hand. They played the Flooded Strand instead of the island. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So they played the Flood Strand, so we knew their hand exactly. But the problem is, that hand's so good, how do you beat that hand? So we attack with the Endurance. And now the problem comes, how do you beat 3 counterspells? So I play the Young Wolf, hoping that they'll counter it. Which they do. They do counter this. So now I have 1 counterspell out. So now we know their hand is counterspell, snap, counterspell. So I'm like, alright. I need to just trade this Yawgmoth for this counterspell. It's not getting any better. So I just slam the Yawg into the counterspell. They counter it. So now their hand is Snapcaster Mage, Island. And I have nothing. So they have Snapcaster Mage, Island, Unknown. And I have nothing. They Snapcaster. They play Hall of the Storm Giants, which is their unknown card. So now the only island, the card in their hand, the only card in their hand is Basic Island. So they drew and played the Snapcaster. Or drew and played the Hall of Storm Giants. They Snapcastered, killed the Endurance. So now all we need to do is draw Yawgmoth. That's not bad. So I Chord of Calling here for a Strangleroot Geist. And I attack. And so now I have a pressure. They only have an island in hand, but they have the building, which is kind of scary. They choose not to attack with it, which means I can't attack with this because they'll just block here. They did play that island that we knew about forever ago. So they have 1 unknown card. We drew not a good one. So we just... I attack for 1 here. I attack for 1 because I wanted to debate them activating the Hall so they wouldn't flash back to Deluge. If I attack with this, they'll probably for sure just activate the Hall, block, and kill it. But I wanted them to do this, and that way maybe they'll tap out and I can bluff, maybe resolve a spell. But they didn't, so they just pass a turn. They cast their Deluge, and at this point the game's over. So they Verdict away my board. I fetch out the Dryad Arbor. And we draw another Chord of Calling, which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can chord here for another Strangleroot Geist and attack them. But they had a counterspell. So now they just punch us in the face with the Hall, and now we draw. There's not really anything we could draw at this point. That's not it. We pass the turn, and they kill our thing, hit us with the building, and we die. So I lost the game blocking that Solitude. They did draw pretty hot, but at the same time, I threw away the game blocking the Solitude. I didn't think about it, but now looking back over the replay, I could see that putting that Solitude in the graveyard just turned on the Unholy Yeet, and that Unholy Yeet killed my Grist, and Grist was my way to win that game. They're at such a low life total. I could have Grist and just held on to Grist for a long time and just used it to pressure them, but I threw it away because I double blocked the one thing. That is unfortunate. So this is our first loss. So this is round 5, so we were 4-1. Round 6. Scorpios. Recognize that name, but I don't remember what they were playing. I think they're playing Living End, if I'm not mistaken. This hand, obviously, we can't keep. No lands. This hand is not great, but it's keepable. We put back a land. Yawgmoth pass. What are they doing? Wooded Foothills. Wooded Foothills is scary because it's the land of rhinoceroses. Yeah, that's pretty fortunate. I got pretty lucky the last couple times. So here, I think I don't attack, if I recall. Oh, I attack anyway. Well, I mean... So they end up being Living End. I didn't want to chord here. I kind of assumed they were rhinos. So if I like chorded here, they could just fire it. So that's the reason I didn't chord, is because I assume with the Wooded Foothills that they're rhinos. I had no idea that they were playing Living End. But Wooded Foothill, like, if we would have chord for Dryad Arbor and they fire it, that would be pretty suboptimal. So that's probably why I didn't chord for... I was probably like, oh, this is rhinos. I don't want to chord into rhinos, because then they just fire. Alright, so next turn. We get our fetch land. Fetch out our black. The perfect draw with all this green. What if we chord for Charlotte's Agent? So now that I realize it's Living End, now there's attack for 1. Nope, no attacks. No, attack for 1. Attack for 2. Alright, no fear, I guess. They do more chording. They grief me. They take a Chord of Calling. And there's Charlotte's Agent. Pretty good series of turns for them. Then we chord here for, I think we chord for Scavenging Ooze, if I remember correctly. I don't remember. It might be another Undying creature. Or it might be... What do we chord for? We chord for birds because birds can cast YAWG if we draw YAWG. Because as of right now, we don't have the black for YAWG. So they also get to stack our deck, though, which sucks. So we draw this. Don't really remember what we do with this. Don't really remember. We just don't cast it? Okay. No, we cast it after second main. We sack a Yawgmoth, and we get an Endurance. A little late to the party. I guess the idea was the Endurance can block these things. It can block here, block here. It can, like, block and kill this, I guess. That was the thought process. We could have got Grist there. But I think Grist just gets killed by the Menace thing. So what do they decide to do here? They just smash. We go after the grief, take 10 here. Not great. Draw another land, not great either. I think we're the writing's on the wall here of how this game's gonna go. So we kill that thing, chump there. Now we chump again. I'm just gonna put this game on full speed because we know what happens. Well, I guess we passed the turn. They play another Endurance. I think I have to chord for like a Yawgmoth here. Just to be able to chump block that thing. They have Force Negation, I concede. Alright. This is what I'm saying about Living End, right? Like, their curve, where they're just like, turn 3 Living End with 1,000,000 guys. It's so hard to beat. So now we go to games 2. Let's see how we sideboarded. We brought in 2 Endurances, 2 Thoughtseizes. We sided out Wall Roots, Strangleroot Geist, Yawgmoth, Chord, Evolution, 2 Grists, and we brought in Liberator for Leyline of Sanctity, 2 Thoughtseizes, 2 Necromentias, 3 Endurances, and the Scavenging Ooze. We boarded in a lot of cards. We're kind of not trying to combo against them. Like, Evolution against the Force of Negation deck is never great. And Chord of Calling against the deck that's trying to wipe your board is also never great. So, like, trying to assemble a large board, they could just Living End it away. So you don't really want to try and win with these 2 cards. You just want to try and cast Endurance and not let them kill you. If that makes sense. Why cut Grist? Seems good against Living End. Grist is only good against Living End when you make chump blockers and you're plussing randomly. Like, Grist is good, but it's not better than Endurance, right? I'd much rather have Endurances and interaction that can win the game, where Grist just helps you really not die. Like, if they get a giant Living End, Grist isn't going to do anything, right? And the only advantage you have is plussing with Grist to put creatures in the graveyard to try and get them into play after they Living End. And you can't really rely on that in games 2 and 3 because it wouldn't be worth doing that against... It's not worth trying to stack your graveyards in game 2 and 3 because they're going to have as many Endurances as you do against us. So, like, we can't stack our graveyard and rely on, like, stacking a graveyard to make their Living Ends awkward because they have Endurances. So they're going to have as many Endurances as we have, probably. So they can... Grist plussing and stacking the graveyard doesn't accomplish as much. So Grist, it's worth keeping a couple in to chord for or whatever, but... Or not chord for, just have, but not a 4 of. It's not a very effective card. We lose to a giant Living End, and a giant Living End Grist is pretty useless. Alright. That being said, let's look at this opening hand. I don't keep it. It was a little too awkward. We didn't have any fast plays. Obviously, this is what I want. I want to go boop into boop into boop. So, we put back a Dork here. And they've gone to 5 cards, which immediately makes me think that they're trying to mulligan to Leyline, right? Because this deck generally doesn't mulligan that much because all you really need is a bunch of cyclers. So I was kind of skeptical, and this triggered my suspicions of Leyline. But they mulliganed to 5, and they didn't put a Leyline in. So we're Gucci. We play the Ignoble. This is like the perfect hand against Living End for me. You have the Necromentia to get the Living End, and then you just have a bunch of Endurances. So here I just went with, let's just try and win the game. Let's just try and win the game. I didn't need to get this. I didn't need to shock myself there. I probably could have just got a Forest. But I guess if I want to draw a Messenger or something. So I probably didn't need to shock there. So let's try it. So their 5-card hand had a Force of Negation. Okay. But it had no Cycler. So that's like glass half full, as they didn't have a Cycler. So they cycled the Street Wraith, cycle another Street Wraith. So here I just main... Oh, I didn't even do that. That was probably... I probably should have just... I probably should have just main phased the Endurance there. Just main phased hardcast as Endurance. I probably should have done that. But they didn't have their third land drop. So here, there it exposes the Leyline of Sanctity. So I know the Leyline of Sanctities are in for game 3. Leyline of Sanctity blanks Endurance. It blanks Necromentia. It's very good against us. So here, I think I choose to just play Yawgers. Because now that I have the Yawgmoth, I can start messing around with green cards. I can pitch these if they have a subtlety. I could just draw another card, re-get the subtlety back. Right? Once Yawgmoth hits play, that's about it. So we attack. And that's good. So we start messing around. I don't know why I messed around. I think I wanted to get more green cards for the Endurance. Here comes Outburst. We wait for them to put the thing on the stack. So I put this on the stack, so obviously we're going to Endurance pitch Chord. So here's the Subtlety, which is cool. Subtlety counters my thing. That's fine. They have one card left, but luckily this just goes on top. Subtlety puts it on top. So we put it on top. Okay. Invoke resolves. Okay. Then we sack this. And then we draw the Subtlety that just went on top. Or draw the Endurance that the Subtlety just put on top. So, okay. Well, now your thing dies. Now I will cast the Endurance. And that's that. And we also, don't forget, sack it to draw a card, right? There's no reason not to just sack this to draw a card. Because it's in play, and it's going to die, so it should die. It should die for a cause, rather than just die alone. Always make sure your shit dies for a cause. Then we nuke their graveyard, and we do lose the YAWG Father, but we do get back Endurance, this. So, they weren't just dead the next turn, but they were emotionally defeated, and their graveyard was defeated, so we'll call that one a W. So that was this game. So we knew that they had Leyline of Sanctity for game 3. So let's see if we adjust our sideboard any for Leyline of Sanctity. I brought in one Force of Vigor. And I cut an additional... I brought a third Grist in, and I didn't bring in any Thoughtseizes. So I sideboard out the Thoughtseizes. I have one of these out, 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 and I brought a Grist back, and I brought a Force of Vigor in, just in case they have Leyline of Sanctity. Oh. A little bit of change, but a little Force of Vigor to respect the Leyline of Sanctity. So this hand is good, right? The problem is Ooze is not the best against them. Because if you go turn 1, Dorg, turn 2, Ooze, you have 1 mana up, essentially. And you can eat one thing, and then they just go to their turn, and they Living End, and they wipe your board. Then they reestablish a graveyard, and then they'll kill you later. It stops them from killing you immediately, but they could still also overwhelm you and have a very large Living End graveyard. But obviously we're going to keep this hand. So we keep. There's the Leyline of Sanctity, right? So Endurance is not good. I'm glad we sided out everything. All the extra Thoughtseizes and stuff. So we just put Dork. They crack Cycle. Cycle again. So now we have a choice, right? We can Wall of Roots Ooze. If we play Ooze, we have 1 mana floating. Yeah. The food Living End is very bad against certain matchups. So here, if we play the Wall of Roots, we eat the Ooze, That has the highest upside play, is if they don't have it, then we just untap with this, we win the game. We could play Grist, plus try and survive these things. But these are 3 hexproof 5/5s. Grist is pretty useless against these 5/5s. So you can't kill him, he could just chump block one of them, there's 3 of them. So I think I take a gamble here. And this is how you win challenges, you get ridiculously lucky. And this was ridiculously lucky. We play the Wall of Roots. We play the Scavenging Ooze. We upkeep stop, right? You want to upkeep stop so you can use the Wall of Roots again. Like, we could just play the Ooze and eat one thing, or we could play the Wall of Roots and eat one thing during their turn. I mean, we're all in on this Ooze. We go all in. We go to upkeep. We eat one of the doofuses. If we wait till later or try and get cute, they can just living end in response. So eat one now. And now we just have to get lucky. We have to dodge a living end. We have to dodge a turn 3 living end. If we do that, we can win this game easily. If we don't, the game ends on the spot. Like, if they wipe these, bring back 10 power, the game's over. But we got very lucky. Very lucky here. Right? They just don't have red, which shuts down half of their cascade stuff. We drew an endurance. We have Scavenging Ooze, which can now feast at free will. So we just eat their stuff. Eat their stuff. Yeah, we got lucky. This is how you win a challenge. You get lucky. They just failed to act the way that their deck wants to be. This is kind of what happens when you play cards like Leyline. Leyline stops Endurance, and it's like, because Endurance targets. And Leyline stops Necromentia. Yeah. So now we're just in this win the game with Scavenging Ooze camp. I don't want to play the Grist. I could have played the Grist, but if they go cycle, 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 you know, I can only exile one thing. So they cycled something, I immediately ate it. I don't want to fuck around with, like, whatever. Just immediately eating everything they do. I did remove a counter here so that if they do Living End, I could sacrifice this and then put it into the graveyard and then get it back. So here, this thing's a 6/6, 7/7. I could have maybe played an Endurance last turn, but I was just being super careful. Alright, so now we just attack with the Ooze. And now in this situation, I feel good to play the Grist. Like, Scavenging Ooze just ran away with this game because they didn't have the Living End. So now we play Grist plus Grist. Now we have some more stuff to eat. We have... So they... Atwara the Scavenging Ooze. I'm glad that you enjoy this. We're trying to walk through it. So they Atwara the Scavenging Ooze, which I don't know why they took all the damage and then did that, but I guess they wanted to be able to start doing stuff. And it was also super weird because they fetched they used the Wooded Foothills and fetched out a forest, which says to me they don't have the Living End. They don't have the red Cascade card, Violent Outburst. Right? So, very weird play. Very weird to take that. Very weird to bounce. Like, just weird. And they cycle. They go to 1. And they grief me. I guess they wanted to grief and then take the Scavenging Ooze, which they do. I pitch... Okay, so I pitch the Endurance here, so they have to take the Scavenging Ooze, so that way, if they Living End, I get the Scavenging Ooze back. I get these 2 creatures back. So they're kind of damned. If they don't living end, I kill them with the insect. And if they do living end, I get these 2 creatures back, and they get these 2 creatures back. So my creatures will be able to just dwarf theirs. So that's why I endurance now. I target nobody with the endurance, and they subtlety it, which I thought was very, very weird, because now they could have just subtlety to block. I don't know. I guess they were going all in on the living end. So they put that on. I put what did I do with the thing? The endurance. I put it on the bottom. I should have put it on the top, so that way I could have saved it and shuffled and cracked and shuffled it away if I wanted. There was no reason not to leave it on the top, so I could keep it there and then be like, oh, do I want an endurance? Yes, I'll just draw it. Or no, I'll put it on the bottom. Because the Verdant Catacomb lets me put it on the bottom anyway, or just in the deck. So that was stupid to put it on the bottom. I should have just put it on the top and floated it with the Catacombs, the way you float cards off Brainstorm. So that's what I should have done. But that was a punt, right? Like, I'd much rather draw an endurance than a land or something like that. So that was a punt. So they take the Scavenging Ooze. So now they living end. So I remove a counter from the Wall of Roots, so I get the Wall of Roots back, which is all part of the plan. So now we get a blocker, all this stuff. Now I'm using the Scavenging Ooze to eat everything. So the Scavenging Ooze is huge, right? We fetched, we thinned. Now we have everything we could want. So I'm pretty sure I kill this, attack with these 2, and start eating stuff with the Scavenging Ooze. I find another Wall of Roots. I play the Wall of Roots. I trade this for the subtlety. I could have maybe done this a little different and like made them block with the subtlety, or killed this Swamp Wall creature, but it really doesn't matter. I killed it and I ate it, and then I attack with both, because they're at 1, they had to double block. So let's see what they do. So I just pass. Now I eat something else. Now I could just, now they concede. I can shoot this, kill this, and now I concede. So that's how you win against Living End. You get really lucky and your Scavenging Ooze lives. So 5-1. That was round 6. All these matches become slugfests. We ended up losing. Okay, so Shock Trooper. I remember this. This is Mono Blue Thran we're playing against. It kind of wrecked me. So let's see. I don't know that this is Shock Trooper. Like, Shock Trooper has always played Mono Blue Thran. Let's see if I can find their list. It's like all they do. If I'm not mistaken, it's like all that they do. How far do we have to go for Mono Blue Thran? We have to go pretty far down, it looks like. Asmo Food, Grinding Station, Death and Taxes, Mono Green Thran. I guess it just, we're going to go to page 2, I guess. Mono Blue Thran, here it is. So here's Shock Trooper. And Mono Blue Thran, Mono Blue Thran, Mono Blue Thran, Mono Blue Thran, Tron. Oh my god. This is 2013. And they're playing Mono Blue Thran. 2013, Mono Blue Thran. So I should have recognized the name, but I guess in 2012 they were playing Blue and Black Tron. So I guess they're not OG Mono Blue Thran players because they have a Dark Blast in their sideboard. But yeah. So anyway, I should have recognized the name. But some people are committed to a deck. So kudos to them. So Mono blue Tron in the 5-1 bracket. Cool. You know? Yeah. Trooper had played Mono blue Tron until it was in standard. Yeah. Okay. So I won the die roll. This hand is moderately keepable. I had no idea what they were playing. I should have known. I should have known what they were up to, but I didn't. They mulliganed to 4. I'm like, alright. They must be on some Tron stuff. They've mulliganed to 3. The old mulligan to 3. Which, you know, that says to me Tron. So they keep 3. They put 4 cards back. I just, you know, bird. They gotta play Hierarch. One of them, you know, whatever. Hierarch. Next turn. They go map thing. So now here I just want to put as much stuff onto the board as possible. So don't worry. In case you were worried that their mulligan to 3 wasn't going to make it to Tron on turn 3, don't worry. They got to Tron. They got to Tron on turn 3. So I chord for 0 here to get the Dryad Arbor. So this gives me a lot of mana to play with. Draw another chord. So they have Tron here. They have Tron here, which is lovely. You want them to have Tron on turn 3. Of course he has it. Yeah, I do have more mana than Tron. Yeah. So now we have a lot of things we could do here. I think we end up killing him this turn. I don't really remember. So all we have to do is get this in play, cast this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm pretty sure we just kill them here. Let's see if I'm smart enough to figure it out. I probably am. Why is it being so weird? Play the Yawgmoth. Play the Blood Artist. How did I fuck this up? Did I not have the mana that I thought I had? All I need to do is find a black land. I cutted wall for 2 for the chord. All I have to do is find a land drop to go 1, 2. So now I could just mess around with the Yawgmoth. Yeah. Oh, I don't have anything. I'm just all kinds of crazy. So they conceded. Bad tapping indeed. So they conceded. But was it bad tapping if I won the match? Don't know. I won the game. They conceded to the Yawgmoth. So I guess I think at this point I was like, why would they concede here? And then, like, this isn't really a concedable spot. Yeah. Didn't matter what we did. We won the game. Yeah, I was. I was missing another Undying Creature, yeah. I thought I could win, but I couldn't. But we cast Yawgmoth, so we won. But no, they weren't dead. We would have to... We would crack this, try and draw land, play the Blood Artist, pass the turn. Yeah. Mono Blue Tron is kind of terrible. So it made me think that they didn't have Ugin or Karn or whatever, so... Alright. They conceded to this. Alright, on to game number 2. Where, spoilers, I might not have won this game. So, how did we sideboard? We sideboarded out the Endurance. We sideboarded out of Wall of Roots, a Yawgmoth, 2 Chords, and 3 Evolutions. And a Grist. I didn't want to run, like, generally speaking, Mono Blue Tron. I figured out it was Mono Blue Tron when they didn't concede. But you don't want to run these into when they conceded, rather. Because regular Tron would have just untapped, played a fucking... They would have kept going because they had Tron. So I figured it was Mono Blue Tron. So these are not good against Remand and Complicates and all that shit. So they're just not good against those cards. So that's why I boarded them out. It does, and it probably would have been strong, but I brought in 4 Thoughtseizes, 2 Necromentias. I was bringing in 6 cards. I also brought in Force of Vigors, so that's 8 cards. So we need a lot of cuts. So I ended up cutting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I brought in the 4 Thoughtseizes, 2 Necromentias, the Outland Liberator, and the 2 Force of Vigors. So that's 9 cards. So I did need to make some cuts. Alright, so let's see how the game ends up going. So we mulliganed the first hand. It didn't have any action. This hand is keepable. No, not yet. So we put back the Yawgmoth. Again, Thran. They mulligan to... they kept 7, so that means their hand's definitely stacked. Why is my game being so weird? Why is my replay being so weird? I just played a land, played a Hierarch. Okay. So, what do? They play that. So now we have the choice. Now we can go Strangleroot attack. We could play the bird. We go Strangleroot attack birds. Or we could play a Grist. Right? Neither are great into Karn. But I don't remember which one I do here. I think I play Strangleroot Geist. Why is it making me click so many goddamn times? No, I play Grist. I didn't even know why I did that. Probably should have Boseiju'd. That was weird. Bad. Yeah, apparently I didn't Boseiju. Apparently I was like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have just bird Boseiju'd. I don't know. Very weird, very dumb. So they crack. I guess I figured mono blue Thran wouldn't really hurt me with Thran. So they literally went Thran go. We plussed, hit bonus Grist. I was really afraid of mono blue Thran having 7 mana, I guess. Yeah, at this point I know from the people in chat telling me, and then like this name. They play 4 mana Karn. I think at this point I know that this is mono blue Thran. I think I knew when I was sideboarding that it was mono blue Thran. I don't remember, but at some point I know that it's mono blue Thran. Don't remember when, don't remember how, but I figured out it was mono blue Thran. Foil Thran. No, I don't know what my logic was. It's very interesting to look back at it now. It ended up paying off, but I really had no idea why I did it. I think that was just a lucky punt. So now we play the thing. We attack. And now I'm doing it during the draw step. Now we do it during the draw step. Now, I was always told, right, there's a lot of logic on which one you want to kill, right? So, one of the things that I've heard people say is never kill the tower. But I ended up getting the one that they fetched for. Yeah. I ended up killing the one that they fetched for. They fetched for this. I end up killing it. The idea is, for those that don't know, is if they have to tap mine power plant to like expedition map, let's say they have forest here, they go forest, tap, tap, play the tower taps for 3 mana, which can let them O-stone, right? So if they're tapping the tower to get a power plant, then when they play the power plant, they can only have 2 mana. Does that make sense? So that's what I've heard. I still have a deep-seated hatred of Urza's Tower, so sometimes I just can't help myself and I want to kill it. But that's the explanation, is that let's say my opponent is trying to re-establish Thran and they have Expedition Map or Sylvan Scrying or whatever the fuck Thran people do, Moon Dancing or whatever, and they spend these 2 mana, then their third land, which is the land that they search for, is the tower, which taps for 3, as opposed to one of these that taps for 2. Alright, but anyway, small percentage points. Anyway, so we hit this because they tutored for it. So, end of story. They get Island. Now it is confirmed to be a Thran of a different color, an inferior Thran, or superior Thran, depending on your point of view. Because as you know, good is a point of view. That's what I learned from watching the prequels of Star Wars. Anyway. So they play another tower, so I'm glad I didn't kill the tower. I'm glad I didn't let my hatred of Urza's Tower blind me to the ways. Mono blue Thran is tied for the worst Thran with mono green Thran. Nice. So now they have this. Now we're in a weird spot because now we know that they can have Remand, they can have Complicate, they can have mono white Thran is also tried with mono blue Thran and mono green Thran, Tooth and Nail Thran. All right, so now it's a weird spot because they could just have Remand, they can have Complicate, they can have God knows what. So I don't know what I do. Crim Shale, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. So I think I attack first. Why is it taking me so long to like get to what I do? Tap, play a birds. Very exciting. Plus, I guess E-Tron is GOAT. I do enjoy Eldrazi Tron. I did almost lose to Eldrazi Tron in the challenge on Sunday. All right, so we hit him for 3. We plussed here, so we can still have Chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we have Chord. We hit him to 14. All right, so they went to repeal. So at end of turn, I just passed there because I thought the turn was over. But they tapped out to repeal me. They tapped out to repeal, and I chorded for YAWG. So now we have YAWG Father in play. And they don't have shit. I lose this game, by the way. I lose this game. So now we Thoughtseize. Pretty sure we start with a Thoughtseize. Why is it taking so long? All right. Thoughtseize. So this is their hand. We discarded Squelch, which was stupid. I should have discarded Mindslaver. Mindslaver is the only way we lose this game. So their hand is Shark Tornado, Academy Ruin, Spreading Seas, Shark Typhoon, Mindslaver. So this power plant was what they tutored for earlier. I took the Squelch here, but that was stupid. I really should have taken the Mindslaver. Because if they rip Urza's power plant, and spoiler, they do, they can go Mindslaver you, cast it. So I punted here. I took the Squelch. because I was looking very short-sightedly. But in reality, I should have taken the Mindslaver. Because if they rip a land, they just get to Mindslaver lock me and I lose the game. So, I punt here. I probably was not taking their deck as seriously as I should have. I was probably like, oh, what's this blah, 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 playing mono green Tron, who cares? Blah, 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 blah. But I punted here. I should have taken the Mindslaver. I should have thought to myself, how do I lose this game? It's not getting fucking stifled once. Yeah, I just wasn't. I was just like, whatever. I was like, I don't care about this. I don't care about this. I don't care about this. And they don't have Tron, so I don't care about this. All right, I'll just take the thing. I thought I was taking the thing to help them get Tron. But all these cards help them get Tron. Obviously, I punted. This is a punt. So I punted here. This was a punt. So I play Strangleroot Geist. Play Strangleroot Geist. And I decide not to go for it here because the Chord of Call, there's one Chord of Calling here, and I sideboarded out another 2 Chord of Callings. So there's only 1 Chord of Calling in the deck. So, and I sideboarded it out. So there's 1 Chord of Calling and 43 cards. So I'm like, do I go for it here? Or whatever. So I just sack this, and I attack them. I'm like, I can't die, whatever. So I just mess around a little bit, try and see if I can find it. Whatever, they're at 4. So what do? The tower, they hit the Academy Ruins, they hit that, and then they Mindslaver lock me. Mindslaver me, and then they murder me. All I need to do is just take this Mindslaver, and I can't lose the game. But I chose poorly, and I lost. So that was a punt. Should have just taken the Mindslaver. I just didn't respect them. I'm like, I don't care about this card. I don't care. But in hindsight, I should have cared. But I didn't. I did end up winning the challenge. So I shouldn't have just... If I just take this Mindslaver, I don't lose this game in a million years. So, punt. But luckily, it means we get to play another game against Tron. So, how did I change how I sideboarded this game? Pretty much the same. Same sideboarding, basically. This hand, I think, is good. I don't know how good Force of Vigor is going to be against them, but we have Thoughtseize into aggro. So we Thoughtseize them. This is their hand. Not the most impressive hand. Doesn't have Tron. Doesn't really do much. So they play Urza's Mine. They Cyclonic Rift this. They're just buying time. I get it. Buying a bunch of time. So now they play this land, so their card in their hand is a Shark Typhoon. Now... Why does it take so long? I had to click that like 8 times. What the fuck? Very weird. Alright, so pretty sure here I just play Grist. No, I Necromentia. Oh, okay. Since we know their hand, we go for the tower. We get the towers. They cycle. We get all the towers. This is their hand. Urza's Mine, Karn. This is their hand. So... This does mean they get to Karn here. They get a Walking Ballista, which is moderately annoying. But we get to... What do we get to do here? So we play these two things so I could pressure Karn, I suppose. Pressure Karn. Karn doesn't activate again. So let's see. Not having to worry about them just randomly dunking on us with Urza's Tower is very, very key. Super, super useful. So here comes Thirst for Knowledge. They don't even play the Ballista, which I thought was weird. Oh, they play the Ballista on 1. I would have thought Ballista on 2 would be better, but what do I know? So now they have a Ballista on 1, which puts us in an awkward spot, right? Because how do we get through to kill this Karn? They could block here, shoot here, right? Block here, shoot here. They basically keep this Karn alive. So I figured that I would just attack the Karn first, get them to do something with the Walking Ballista. If we use this first, then they can just kill the Grist afterwards with this. So we just attack, get them to use the Walking Ballista. This wasn't really a good interaction exchange for me, because their Shark token got to kill the Grist. But we had to make sure that the Karn didn't exist anymore. So now we look at their hand. We take, pretty sure I take the Snapcaster. Yeah, we take the Snapcaster. Then we play the Grist. Grist this, kill that. We didn't want to let them get any value from that. Maybe it was a mistake, but I don't know what they get for 5 mana. They probably have a Worm Coil in there. Worm Coil is probably pretty scary at this point. So now they get... See, this was weird to me, right? They attacked me and repealed my Grist. And then they played Academy Ruins. So in my head, I'm like, WTF. Why did they do that? Why not just kill the Grist, right? With this, and then repeal like a Yawgmoth or something. Why did they do what they just did? And it took me a minute to figure it out. I was like, all right, well, they're going to put Walking Ballista on top of their deck and just Ballista me every turn until I'm dead. Right? Just Ballista, block, shoot me, put Ballista on top, shoot me. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I figured. That's why they went after my life total. Because I couldn't figure it out. Because I was like, why didn't you just kill Grist for free? Why'd you give me a Grist back? I don't understand. I didn't understand this play. I still don't really understand that play. Killing Grist there with this was so free. So I don't understand. I still don't understand this play. I don't get it. I don't get it. Don't understand this play. I would have just killed it, but whatever. Maybe they just wanted to buy time. I don't know. I figured that they were going to start bringing back, recurring the Ballista with the Ruins and just trying to kill me with Ballista. So we drew Yawgmoth. So we attack, we play this, we play that, we plus. Again, a little low life, but here I expected them to Academy Ruins the Walking Ballista. And they didn't. And I was like, what? So they Thirst for Knowledge, play a land, pass. So now we're just on the beatdown plan. Full beatdown. They block. We get back a dude, plus the Grist. And now it's a tough spot. Do we actually Thoughtseize? Because if their game plan is Walking Ballista, do we Thoughtseize? We go to 5 life? I don't know. I don't remember what I do, but I think since they don't have the towers, we're safe to Thoughtseize. Let's see what I do. We draw a card. We draw Wall of Roots, and I Thoughtseize. And they cast... They Condescend. That's fine. We don't lose the life anyway. So we have a decent board. We don't have a lot of damage with Grist ult, so we'll see what they end up doing. They concede. So, I don't know what they were up to. Seemed kind of weird not to just kill this for free. But they didn't, and I don't know if it would have mattered. It only did 1 damage to them overall. But, weird game. Just taking the Necros out, just Necroing this was just... That's all we really needed to do to stop them from doing crazy bullshit. Alright, so that was round 7. So this is the winning in round, round 8. This is winning in round 8. Whoever wins this makes the top 8. Doom Switch, pretty sure they generally play an all-foiled version of Blue-Red. They've played a bunch of stuff, but I'm pretty sure they're playing all foiled out Blue-Red Murktide. So, let's see. We keep this hand. It's alright. It's kind of medium. It has 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Moto foils. Yeah, all foiled Murktide. I've known Doom Switch. They're a pretty common MTGO grinder, so I had an idea what they were doing already. So pretty sure we just play the Overgrown Tomb, play that. They punted here, right? They messed up on their timing, right? And they let me just hit them for a bunch. They should have waited till I just literally F6'd attacked, and they just shot this before combat, and then I got to hit them for an extra 3 damage. They should be at 19. Yeah. Well, Doom Switch is a good player who just made a big punt. So, look, this is for winning into the top 8 of a challenge, and they made a little punt. But that's okay. We won't tell anybody. I make a lot of mistakes, too. So, they made a little mistake. They took an extra 3 points of damage here. Yeah, Moto. Yeah. Nothing says value like Moto foils. Where you look at a card like Ragavan, which the foil... never mind. Let's not dunk on Moto value. Alright. So anyway, we played this, we attacked them, they're at 16. They blew this, they should be at 19. But, c'est la vie. They should know better than to shoot that before, when they did. They should know after it's tapped, shoot it. All you guys, after it's tapped, shoot it. So now they bolted it. That's fine. Now we just have our boy Grist. I did crack a forest. I did choose to get the forest to have the perfect basics in case they're a Blood Moon deck. You never know with this. But that's why I chose to do that over this. So now we have Grist. It's not a big clock, but it's... So then they consider, they iteration, they play a bobble, they consider. They're not doing very much. We're not doing all that much. But I'm pretty sure I decide to attack them. And obviously this graveyard's being stacked for a giant Murktide. So we take the opportunity to play Eldritch here for endurance and nuke that graveyard. And we have this in case we want to go full beatdown, which is Dryad Arbor beatdown. So now their graveyard's gone. We have 7 power and doofuses. We have an active Grist. There's no way to kill it. If they play anything, we could just kill it. Life's good. They concede. So this is how you beat Murktide. You win the die roll. Step 1, win the die roll. Step 2, just cast a bunch of idiots. Right? And you just get underneath their permission. So they're forced to look at a hand of Counterspell, Archmage Charm, Murktide Regent, and there's nothing they could do. Alright. So, we got them. So that was game 1. Now we go to game 2, where there's a little bit of a problem with game 2. They go first. And because they go first, they're able... Oh, we keep not a great hand here. This isn't a great hand, but it does have an endurance. I boarded... How did I board? I board how I always board against Murktide. I sideboard out at Liberator. I sideboard out at Ignoble. I bring out all 4 Eldritch Evolutions. I bring in 2 Thoughtseizes, 3 Endurances, and 1 Scavenging Ooze. That's how I always sideboard against Murktide. Yeah. So, they go first. They play Fiery Islet. They get to draw 2 cards here. We really want to draw a Dork here. But we don't. I just play this tap to pass the turn. We drew Yavimaya, which is kind of nice. I think I don't end up wanting to play Yavimaya because I want them to take damage off this, but we'll see. So they play DRC. They play a Bobble. Now it's our turn. So we're just going to swing with Strangleroot Geist. Just get the Geist beats. Iteration. So here, they have Delirium here when I crack this, right? So when they crack this, they get Delirium. 3 types, this is 4. So, I don't know if you guys can hear me just clicking this button over and over and over. What the heck? All right. So we play a land. I do play the Yavimaya. I do want to keep this in case they play like Hearst or some kind of graveyard thing. So I might as well keep this. Might as well play this. They do get to tap this now for free, but it is their only source of red mana. So I think I'm going to attack. And if they go to get Delirium and block, we'll just Endurance it. But let's see what happens. I didn't want to play the Grist. I didn't want to play the Grist here because if I Grist minus to shoot this, they could just Unholy Heat this. And then this thing dies forever to kill this, so I didn't want to do that. So we'll just pass the turn. We're just holding up Endurance. I guess I wait till... I fucked this up. I was trying to wait for them to crack this. Because this is almost Murktide range. I think I just play an Endurance now. They had the Unholy Heat. But I should have been more patient with the Endurance. I should have done it during the upkeep or something like that. But I just didn't want them to go Counterspell. I wanted them to crack the fetch. But I couldn't risk if they didn't crack the fetch. Because if they didn't crack the fetch, like, and they don't have a reason to crack the fetch, they could have gone to their upkeep, and if I upkeep, cast Endurance, they go Counterspell, then play a land and play Murktide. So I didn't want that to happen. So I just blew my load there. I probably should have waited a little bit, but I didn't. So they just play a DRC. So now I'm pretty sure I just attack with this. And they block, which surprises me. And they're looking to dress down. So they want to block. Then have my thing die forever because of the dress down. I have the Boseiju, so I'm just like, well, I don't really want that to happen. So I Boseiju the dress down. In hindsight, I should have played this Strangleroot Geist before combat. but I don't. Then I play it after combat, and they counterspell it in Unholy Heat. Now we've reached the part of the game where if they go Murktide Regent plus counterspell, you lose. They played a Jace, which was even worse. And now this is where I lose. I lose the game here because I have to kill the Jace. So Jace just wins them the game on an empty board. So I play this, play that, kill that. And this game's over by this point. These birds just get out of control. And they're paying cost for a Murktide. So they're paying cost here, and I concede. I concede to this. This is gonna... They're gonna Murktide. It's gonna be huge. There's no way I could get out of this. So I concede. Now we go to game 3, in which I'm on the play. Being on the play versus Murktide is just the most important thing. So let's see. So we keep this hand, which is Dork, Yawgmoth, Thoughtseize, Grist. They bolt the bird. Very annoying. We play 2 birds. I didn't think a reason to play the Thoughtseize. Now here we ended up getting rewarded. We Thoughtseize them. Thoughtseize them. They counterspell. We get to resolve Grist. And we get to hit them. So it feels good right now. We got Grist. We have everything we want. Let's see what they do. They play Soulguide Lantern. We don't really care about Soulguide Lantern. It does affect the Grist ultimate, but we don't really care about that. Now we have a lot of Nurturing Peatlands in play. So we draw off the Peatland. Now we do the Chord, which is pretty nuts here. Because the Chord means we can Chord for 3 here. But I decide to just attack anyway. So now we can hold up Chord for 2. They play Dress down here. Which doesn't really do very much. They Explosives for 1. And they kill these 2. Which does suck, but what can you do? We could Chord here. I think I saved Chord 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pretty sure I saved the Chord. If we draw a land, it's Yawgmoth, right? If we draw a land, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus 7. So let's see. We drew a land, so we get the Yaugers. Plus for the Yaugers, and now we pass to them. Now we're in a very good spot. Worst case scenario, we have Ancestral. So they play the Ledger Shredder. We don't really care about that. And now they what are they doing here? What's 3 mana? They're casting a Murktide. So now 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Cool Connive. So Murktide comes in. Okay. So now it's our turn. We are at 5 life. We are at 11, rather. So we died at 2 turns, 2 hits, and a bolt from the Murktide. So we have to, like, try and figure out how to do this. The easiest thing to do is just kill the Murktide. Just kill it, right? So, pretty sure we go 1, 2, shoot this. 1, 2. We play the Ignoble first. Play the Blood Artist, sack the Ignoble. Kill that. Ping. Ping. I choose not to play the Scavenging Ooze here because I didn't want it to die to a bolt, which was probably stupid. I probably should have just played the fucking Ooze. Right? If they had a bolt, Oh, I do. I guess I do play the Ooze. I guess I'm not too stupid after all. Alright, so I play the Ooze. Obviously, they bolt this, but then, like, we could just proliferate, ultimate this. They're at 10. Right, we could sack the Ooze. That goes to 6. Sack this. That goes to 7. They lose 2. They die to the Grist ult. So they draw off that, and they pass the turn. So we eat some of their creatures. We swing for 5. I proliferate the Grist up, proliferate the Grist to ultimating range, and proliferate the Scavenging Ooze up. Discard. Now this goes to 5. And then we ultimate the Grist, but they concede. Alright, so we made the top 8, and we're in the top 8. So, congratulations to us. Yay, us. We made the top 8, round number 9. So round number 9 is the top 8. This is round 1 of the top 8. Shotohan. They were playing a humans list that was very interesting. It was going around the tournament. People were talking about it. They were like, oh, Spike played against so-and-so, and they were playing, you know, the thing. So let's look for it. Modern Challenge. Just give you guys a taste of it. So it's a 5-color humans deck. But what was unique about it was doing the Pyre of Heroes thing. So they were playing Yawgmoth and Judith and all these cool targets for the Pyre of Heroes. Spoilers, I ended up losing to this. So anyway, I'm on the play. And we keep this hand. It doesn't have a Yawgmoth, right? But it has a lot of ramp. Has a lot of acceleration. So we just sort of ramp out and then just sit there and wait for 12. We have 12 draws for Yawgmoth. So they go Vile. We play stuff. Right? Yawgmoth losing to Yawgmoth. I'm going to put this game on real fast speed because you'll see. They start making out dudes. We're waiting for Yawgmoth. That's not a Yawgmoth. We attack. You know. We're in the Yawgmoth waiting room. So now more waiting for Yawgmoth. This is just going to go real fast. They play the Pyre. Again, I have no decisions to make here. The only question is, should I have kept the hand? And the answer turns out to be no. Yawgmoth? No, I drew garbage. Yeah. And then Reflector Mage bounces that thing. It's my best blocker. They're gaining 1,000,000 life. Blah, blah, blah. Pyre. Guess who comes? Guess who shows up? Judas over here shows up on the wrong side. All we need to do is draw Yawgmoth, and there they have a Yawgmoth. And the game spirals out of control. I don't draw Yawgmoth. Blah, 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 blah. I'm taking a bunch of damage. They're killing my creatures. I thin. Now we finally draw a Yawgmoth. We finally draw the Chord. But we get a Yawgmoth. It's way too late by now. We're at 11. They have Yawgmoth. They could sack. So we go after their thing. Yawgmoth can block this, right? Because this has protection from humans. So we can block this forever. So they play this. They play this Extraction Specialist back. So we died. They viled in the Extraction Specialist, right? Vile Extraction Specialist, return target creature power 2 or less. They got Thalia back. Thalia came into play. It pumped their team. Then they sacked the Thalia to the Pyre of Heroes to get Judith, which is basically Blood Artist. And then they attacked me for 3 here because of Yawgmoth. And it had Exalted. And now they can just sack this, sack this, sack this, sack this to kill me with Judas triggers. Thalia's Lieutenant. Yeah, one of them. So we got ranched. We got out Yawgmoth by this stupid humans deck. So, for shame. Shame, shame, shame. Yeah, this champion has some moves. Okay. So, let's go to game 2. Let's check out how we sideboarded. We sideboarded out an Endurance. We sideboarded out a Wall of Roots. We sideboarded out a Chord of Calling. And we brought in 2 Crime Punishments, a Outland Liberator, and is that it? One more card. No. The Humans Discord has to be the most excited they've been in a long time. What the hell did I bring in? Oh, I brought in, yeah, I boarded out. Yeah, I brought Wall Roots, Chord of Calling, and Endurance, and I brought in 2 Crime Punishments and a Outland Liberator. The problem with Force of Vigor is that, like, it's such a commitment, and if they only have 1, right? Oh, because the Humans Discord's happy anytime anyone does well with humans. Yeah. So, I didn't want to go too ham on the Force of Vigor. Because, like, if they only have 1 Aether Vial and I have to, like, Force of Vigor it feels real bad. But casting Crime Punishment, you can get a bunch of value from it. So, let's see what happens. So, this hand's medium, but we do have the Wall of Roots. We get the thing. We play the Wall of Roots. Pass the turn. So now they see here's confirm not ghosting, which is nice because if they were ghosting, they'd just say Yawgmoth. But they chose this, which obviously ended up being the wrong choice and cost them the game pretty much. So now we just fetch, play the land. We use the wall to kill the thing because once this is in play, they can't really fuck with us. They can't do much here. So here comes Evolution. So now they have Pyre on 2. So I draw the Crime Punishment here. And this is just too clean to go land, kill both of these. Attack. I don't want that Pyre shenanigans happening. No, there's a Tom Ross has a Discord, but every time I go in there and read about Prosperous Innkeeper and fucking Magus of the Moon and all these cards, I just get cross-eyed and leave. No, I'm just kidding. That's not what happens. Tom Ross has a Yawgmoth, this Essence Warden too. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But there is a Tom Ross does have a Discord. Sorry. Essence Warden. I'm just teasing. Essence Warden is a good card. Alright, so they play Wizard, they play Thalia, they play these people. Doesn't really matter at this point. Yawgmoth's just going to take over this game. We make Grist, make people, Chord for a Young Wolf, start killing the people. This game goes on warp speed from this point because there's not much they could do to stop the Yawg Father. Literal pro-humans. They target this, I sack this into this, and sack that into that in response. This game just ends really quickly. Because all we really need to do is just, I don't know, nothing. Plus, just keep shooting. We keep shooting. We have a million cards in hand, and they concede. Essence Warden is a good card. I mean, there's a lot of metas out there. It really depends on your meta, right? If you're expecting to see burn, then play Essence Warden or play Gilded Goose or play whatever you want. But, you know, I mean, burn doesn't really exist on Magic Online that much. It exists in leagues, but it's not really in challenges that much. Yeah. You can play whatever you want. Like, literally the next day, you know, like, so I won this challenge Saturday, and then literally Sunday, the very next day, Play to Win, who's been playing Yawgmoth forever, they top 8'd with Essence Wardens and Gilded Gooses, you know? And Magus Main, you know, and a totally different sideboard. So you can do... The Yawgmoth shell is so strong that you could do whatever the fuck you want. And you can have success with it. Excuse me. So you could do whatever you want. I don't know. That I could not tell you, Drew. But yeah, so this is like an example of... You could play Gilded Goose. You could play Essence Warden. You could still, you know, top 8 a challenge. You still can put up good numbers, you know. He, on a post somewhere, he said that he even punted a game against the would-be second-place person. So he could have been in the finals. And generally speaking, Hammer's a pretty good matchup for YAWG. So maybe he could have won if he didn't punt. But he admitted that he punted a little bit. But, you know, everybody punts. But good for him for making it. And he's playing a totally different list than mine. And that's okay. I'm not going to shame him or hate him for playing these two cards. That's his choice. I personally don't like the inconsistency of Goose when it runs out of poop. And I think Essence Warden is a terrible top deck. And I think Magus of the Moon is kind of a gimmick, but I could see where it's strong. And I like Grist. I like Grist a lot. A lot. So basically, they completely cut the Geralf's Messenger for the Magus of the Moon. They cut a Grist for a second Endurance. And they're playing one Essence Warden over... Looks like they're playing it over Dryad Arbor. Looks like instead of Dryad Arbor, they're playing one Essence Warden. I think Dryad Arbor is too useful. Courting for 0 is too useful. Cracking a fetch and getting a creature is too useful. But they chose and they had success. You know, good for them. I think courting for 3 is too good to cut the thing. But that being said... Excuse me. That being said, let's go back to this. So, we just got Yawgmoth dunked on him. Let's look at game 3. Sorry, forgive me. I should have muted the mic. Did we sideboard any different? No. Same thing. Out. Let's see. We kept this hand, which is kind of sketchy. Not that great. It's not a great hand. It's pretty good. Pretty good hand. No undying creatures, though. Excuse me. So, once again, opponent confirmed not ghosting. They name Eldritch Evolution. We have some choices here. We could just Outland Liberator, blow up the Aether Vial, which is okay, but I mean, they only have 4 cards in hand. How much damage can Aether Vial actually do before we can get YAWG in play and start proliferating it up? Like, Yawgmoth can deal with an Aether Vial pretty well, and Yawgmoth has some very good synergies with Aether Vial in terms of proliferation. It's good to put your opponents up and put yours up if you decide to play them. So I think I just ignore killing this. I don't want to go down resources, because if I play this Liberator and I kill this, then next turn I play YAWG and I have 1 creature in play. So I was just like, alright, let's just play the Grist plus the Grist. Play the Grist plus the Grist. Because then next turn, I'm going to be able to resolve YAWG with a 2-3 doodles to fuck with. That makes sense. They Reflector Mage... See, they Reflector Mage back the token. They probably punted by not Reflector Maging back the Hierarch. I really don't think it would have mattered. But... I think they should have hit the Hierarch back so I couldn't YAWG. So anyway, we plus play the YAWG Father, and this game's over, right? How are humans going to deal with this? Yawgmoth is the ultimate anti-human thing. So, like, they have no cards that really get Yawgmoth. There's some lists that do play the white card that's one Skyclave Apprentice. And Skyclave Apprentice can get YAWG pretty good. It could just tag it and get it pretty good. But they don't seem to be playing it. So now we just sort of take them apart. They have to attack Grist. We plus, then look at this hand. We have this plus this. I mean, we have everything we could want. I'm just going to put the game on warp speed. Because, you know, how are they going to win? Right? We just play this, make people start. I was going to attack minus here, proliferate this up, you know, like the game was over. I would love for them to be meta too, but they just really have a hard time with Fury. So let's go to the semifinals. This game is against Nassif. And this is round 10, the semifinals against Nassif. He's on blue-red. And I made a good choice of winning the die roll. That was my good choice. I won the die roll. Very lucky. No, I mean, I know. I'm just saying YAWG is bad against Fury too. So we won the die roll. That was very wise of us. Very smart. We're keeping this medium hand. We have a thing. Never go second. Exactly. In the Murktide matchup, which we beat 3 times this game, the 3 times this tournament, the key... We might have only beat it twice, but we beat Nassif. Spoilers. The key is to go first. So that's the most important thing. So we go first. They play Hierarch. We have lots of dorks here. So here we have a choice of going Strangleroot Geist, nothing, but we just go multi-dork. We go multi-dork. This way, next turn, we have this into this, or this and this. This, we have so much. So, they attack us. They play bird. So now we have Strangleroot Geist, Evolution. We have this for YAWG. We have this for YAWG. Bounce back and forth, get a 1-drop, bounce with YAWG. We can't kill them because we don't have enough permanents to cord for Blood Artist, but we could get YAWG bouncing and hit a land drop and play a Yawgmoth. Which, I'm pretty sure that's what we do. I think we get a nice fat attack in here too. Sack this. They get to connive. How will we connive? They discard that. How will we beat a connive? So now we get a nice fat attack with the Strangleroot Geist. Don't worry, bros. We have connive. I wasn't going to make that joke. So now we want to, like, this is a weird spot, right? Because we end up sacrificing lands to hit a land to play the Young Wolf. But we do want to just kill their stuff. I decide I don't necessarily need to go for it here. I don't need to go too ham here. To like kill these things to try and find it to whatever. I decide I don't need to do that. There's no point, like, we end up like losing all this stuff. And if they end up going bolt, or whatever, then we're in a lot of trouble. Because our YAWG dies, or whatever. So they just don't do anything. So now we get the old bait, where we cast the Yawgmoth. They have to counter it, or we just draw infinite cards. So they counter it, and then Geralf sends them a message. And that's that. And that's that. So now, we're playing against Gabriel Seif. Now, game 2, we made the mistake of losing the die roll and winning game 1. So we were on the play this game, which is a terrible mistake. This hand is also medium to minus to really bad. And it's ironic because, generally speaking, I board out an Ignoble, board out a Yawgmoth, board out 4 evolutions, bring in 3 endurances, 1 Scavenging Ooze, and 2 Thoughtseizes. And that's like my way of dealing with this deck. So, generally speaking, these lists cut Ragavan. And I went back and watched the VOD, and Seif kept in 1 Ragavan. But yet he draws it on turn 1, and it wins him the game, because I'm not really prepared for it. So I play this land. I think about cracking for Dryad Arbor to block this. Luckily, I don't. We get the Wall of Roots. Now we play our Wall of Roots. They counter it. And now we're on the wrong side of the Ragavan. So Ragavan just accelerates them way ahead of us. Grist is not good against DRC here. But we have to play a Grist. Grist goes up. You know, they're going to get Delirium. They're going to hit this. Yeah, they just Unholy Heat this, Unholy Heat that. You know. Then we play another Grist, play some more. We're just trying to buy time, and they just go iteration, bolt that. Yeah, like I'm just rolled. Like, how am I supposed to come back from this? Play this, pass the turn. Iteration again. And we're at 5. And there's no way to win this. It's hard to beat. Heat, heat, bolt, bolt. Hard to beat that. So, we made the mistake of losing the die roll. Luckily, in game 3, we're on the play again. So, we're on the play. We can actually win a game. So here, whatever, we got our bird. They decide to... So now we draw... On the VOD, sure. Go ahead. There'll be a VOD and it'll be up on YouTube. So now, we're just Wall Roots. Now, what do? They play a DRC, that's fine. Now we just want to progress our board. We just played this, played this. It's possible I wanted to Endurance there to clear their board, but it wasn't that bad beforehand. They considered at the end of turn. They're considering again. They missed a land drop. Oh, they ended up Fury. Oh, shit. I just fast forwarded the whole turn. But basically, they ended up Furying our Dorks away, but they left our Wall of Roots alive. So we just got to Chord for Yawgmoth. They took a long time there. If you notice the time discrepancy, I'm at 5 minutes. They're at, or they're at 5. I'm at 18. So it's good that we get to watch this game on warp speed. But anyway, they considered bottom to Lightning Bolt for some reason. Instead of keeping the Lightning Bolt, bolting this, Furying everything. So anyway, we got kind of lucky there that they didn't keep this, bolt this, Fury our whole board away. So now we get to Chord for YAWG here. We get the Dryad Arbor. And we Chord for YAWG. And then we can start we can make sure we kill that goddamn DRC before something bad happens. And I want to make sure they don't get to untap and play a Murktide, right? Because their graveyard's stacked at this point. So we're going to blow the Endurance too. It does let the bird draw a card, but who cares? We get to nuke their graveyard. Their only way to answer our shit is Unholy Heat. You know. And at this point, they're just on nonsense time. Because they're pretty dead here. Then we attack both. Blah, 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 blah. They're at 1 right now. They have the relic. And they concede. So, I don't really know what happened with that Fury turn. But the game would have been a lot different if they had Furied away the Wall of Roots. So, I don't know. I watched their VOD a bit. Basically, they punted. If they bolt the wall and then Fury my board away, it's a very different game. But they didn't, so we ended up winning. So that was that. Whoever has been on the play against Murktide has won every single time. When we're on the play, we're on the draw, whatever. Whoever's on the play, whoever's on the draw, wins. 2 minutes to 14. Hello. So now, for the finals. I had no idea what they were playing, but I saw Yuri on here. We're going over the VOD of the challenge win. So, this is Yurion in the finals. This hand's kind of sketchy, but I end up keeping it. Just play a dork. Pass the turn. They kill my dork, which is very sad. We just play Yawgmoth, pass the turn. This was a really weird game, and I'm really surprised that I won it. Ragavan, pass. Ignoble, pass. Here we got the bump. They bump back to Hierarch. We play another Hierarch. Iteration. We're finally drawing lands. So now we have a lot of choices here. I just want to expand my board. We attack the Teferi. Now we play all these creatures. They get a Fury. Not great. They Fury away all our dudes. But it's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's fine. Because we have the Grist follow up. Now we Grist, kill the Fury. Now they just do nothing. Which makes me think, I don't know, it makes me think Solitude, to be honest. So, play the land, plus the Grist. Play the YAWG Father. They ended up memory deluging into a counterspell, countering our thing, very sad. Play Ice Fang, they exile Grist. So now we know we can resolve the Yaugers, which is all we've been waiting to do. So now we get the Yaugers in play. Now we get to... I think I messed up this attack here, but it's okay. So now we attack. I should have just killed this first. But now I just shoot that thing. And now we have Endurance. They're at 7. Just play the land, tap, pass the turn. We have this at instant speed if they do anything too crazy. Doesn't look like they're going to do anything too crazy. What do they got here? They're playing a Solitude. They didn't have the mana to ephemerate it here, which was nice. I didn't have to worry about it being ephemerated. So, shoot the wall on that. Shoot the Yawgmoth. Shoots the Solitude. You just want to get draws, you know? Since I had this, I think I throw the Endurance in play just to get as many draws as I can here. Right, we target the Yawgmoth again. I just wanted to make sure I found another Yawgmoth. So now I target the Solitude and Yawgmoth dies. So now we have, I think I go Strangleroot Geist. Oh no, I just have the two Yawgs. The two Yawgmoths here. They kill the Yawgmoth, but they don't really have anything else. We're at 5 here. Play an Ice Fang, they play a Wren. They return Yorion to hand. So now we drew another YAWG because we're running hot. Because this is what it takes to win tournaments, running hot. So we play the YAWG. Play the Strangleroot Geist, play the YAWG. I think I should have just played the YAWG here. I don't know what I was doing. Should have just played the YAWG. Oh, because there were 2. Ha! I'm like, why am I not playing Yawgmoth? Because they block this, take 3, go to 2, and then I just kill them with Geralf's Messenger. Okay, so that was game 1 of the finals. Now the finals, the actual final was really disappointed. Really disappointing because they mulligan to nothing. Like, we keep a medium hand. They go to 6. They go to 5. They go to 4. They go to 4, right? How do you beat elementals? Your opponent goes to 4. Yeah, probably. I just probably figured they had nothing. They go to 4. They keep a hand of 4, so Thoughtseize them. This is their hand. So this game's kind of a stomp. They return Yorion to their hand. We play Grist. Plus Grist. They do nothing. We play Yawgmoth. They Eldamri's Call for Omnath. We could get in some trouble here. But then they Omnath and miss. So they just don't have another land. And then, you know, the game's over from this point. We have everything we need to kill them. Pretty sure we go plus 1, 2, 3, Chord for Yawgmoth, Strangleroot, or 1, 2, Blood Artist, the Yawgmoth, Blood Artist, 1, 2, the other Chord. I do it in a different order, but I don't activate the Grist in case they have Solitude to kill this. I want to make sure that they don't get to untap with this. So I'm not activating Grist until I know that I've killed them. Like if they go Solitude on the YAWG in response to the first Chord, I could still Grist and kill this. We're just recapping. This is almost over. So here's the other Yawgmoth. GG's. That's it. I mean, they mulled to 4. They mulled to 5. They mulled to 4, you know, so not a very exciting final, but we did win the thing, took it down. Next day went 4-3, lost some close ones. I was on the draw too many times against Murktide in this one, but I think the deck's really good. I've thought it's been really good for a long time now, and it's very simple. There's some... I mean, there could be a second Boseiju. But if you draw 2 Boseijus in a matchup where you don't want Boseiju, that's like whatever. But I think the deck's pretty good. I think the deck is pretty good. I hope you enjoyed watching the recap, and we'll try and win again next week. What about you guys in chat? Do you have any questions for the list? Anything about the...